Bureau was going to do a show on
Yeah.
this. Yeah. But I like Idaho. It's got an elk population. Anything that's got a lot of wild game. Welcome back to The Truth Hurts, where we expose corrupt politicians, malign corporate media, corrupt Democrat politicians, and some rhinos, media that never reports anything. That's what we do. We report things that you don't hear from anywhere else. I'm Jake Duesenberg, coming live at 7 o'clock primetime hour. There's no Tucker Carlson that we're competing with now, and no one's watching Hannity, so I guess you got nothing better to do. Although it is sunny out again in Minnesota. It's dark at the Capitol. That's what I'm going to tell you. It's dark at the Capitol. You see right now live down here, we've got the House floor in Minnesota. If you're not watching from Minnesota, you want to watch this episode because we're going to talk about important stuff. This is what happens when there's full Democrat control. Like, they're not hiding, like acting like they're moderates. They are in full-on radical, left-wing, agenda-driven politics. And it's insane. It's helping us break down what's going on at the Capitol because it's the final days of the legislative session. Is former Representative Erik Mortensen, a hero at the Capitol. They hated you so much down there. Which
I think a lot of them still do hate me, actually.
They still talk about you. You know that? They actually bring you up on the floor. It's funny.
Yeah. Whatever. I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah.
You're not missing much, man. Here's the thing. If the Republicans had the majority, I think you would have had a lot of fun.
Oh, it would have been the best ever.
What would you have done? Resigned right away? Like,
Well, if people voted for me and I wanted to turn around and resign, but
Fair
sitting in
point.
the minority again would be terrible. I mean, watching this stuff happen and being essentially powerless, you don't have the votes to stop it. And yeah.
yeah, there's really not much you guys can do.
Yep.
Also joining us, part of the Political Junkies team, is Mega Jesse.
Yep. Good to be here. I mean, yeah, it's the final push of the legislative session, so here to break it all down.
You'll be on your phone checking to see what updates we have, because that's why I wanted to come to you at prime time is, like, literally when we started out the day, we didn't know exactly what the dynamics would come out of the conference committees and stuff like that. We've learned some pretty interesting stuff, which I'll get into in a second. Reading your comments, not Bridget tonight. Oh, Bridget's at Mass. What a good girl. She's at Mass. When was the last time I went to church? Is William Beck in her seat. He's the blonde Matt Walsh of Minnesota right there, Mr. Straight-Laced himself.
Sorry to disappoint, not quite Bridget, but I will be reading your comments tonight. Tucker says, good evening, guys. Good evening, Tucker.
Good
Tucker
evening,
Carlson?
Tucker.
Yeah.
Tucker Carlson, yeah. And what do you got over there on your desk there?
So this is not Bud Light, but the Superior Pabst Blue Ribbon,
All right.
which we will be drinking tonight.
All right,
Yeah,
go
when do
ahead.
I get a not Bud Light?
You can have
Yeah.
not Bud Light. You can give him a PBR to the gentleman over there. Running the dials, as always, is Mr. Deep State Dawson. Flexing some arms there. You know, the house videos in the way of your massive arms. Look at those pipes in the gym. You know, God. We love you, Dawson. All right.
All right.
Let's start off
Thank
with
you.
this here. Once again, last couple days of the session, and this is full Democrat control. If you're not from Minnesota, it's cracking. By the way, I've got some Willet bourbon here. You know, that's what's going to get me through this crap. You wanted some bourbon, right?
I'll have some
You
in a
have
bit.
PBR,
I think I'm going to start with the PBR.
beer before liquor, never sicker, but okay. That was just a wives' tale, right? Let's pull up this. Do we have the tweet from Tom Hauser? So we're going to talk about taxes here. Go ahead and put this on the full screen so people can see it. Tom Hauser, the chief political reporter for KSTP, says, happening now, Senate and House DFL leaders say the final transportation finance bill will likely include both an increase in gas tax, which is indexed to inflation, and a delivery fee they now call a, quote, road maintenance fee, end quote. These taxes and fees will hit every Minnesotan. I appreciate Tom Hauser injecting a little bit of commentary there, you know, because the Democrats always say, tax the wealthy. We got to tax the wealthiest and the rich. You're not taxing the wealthy and the rich there. Let me tell you what that is. Well, we know what a gas tax is. Everyone knows what gas tax is. That delivery fee or road maintenance fee, you know what that is? 75 cents in everything that gets delivered to your door. So how much do you order from Amazon? How much Uber Eats do you get? You know, Cub orders, booze orders, whatever you're getting at your house, 75 cents on each order. If you get two different Amazon packages because they arrive at different days, 75 cents each because of the cost of delivering it to your house. So how much is that going to add up in the end of the day? Like, when you add up 75 cents on every order that you make, within a year. I don't know. What are we looking at? Hundreds? For a lot
I
of
think
us?
so.
Right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I get home like every day, and there's like 3 packages sitting there. So,
Right.
yeah.
And if you go check out Adidas swimsuit models, you'll find a package there too. See what I did there? That was pretty good, right?
That was good.
We didn't even put that story in the show notes. So thank you guys for tuning in. Let us know where you're watching. If you don't follow us on Rumble, follow us on Rumble. We get taken off YouTube all the time because we say things we're not supposed to say. Let's go to the article here. We can take this House session off. So they're debating legalized pot. I don't know what your position is on legal pot, you know. We probably have a wide range of views, the libertarians versus the very strict conservatives like William. But I'll tell you this much. That is like the least concerning thing of all the stuff the Democrats are passing right now.
Yep.
And even legal marijuana, they're screwing that bill up. What is that, 17 cents tax on the product? What do
Yeah,
tell us
no,
about that bill?
it's going to be, you know, they say it's 10% of a tax. It's really going to be 17%. It's filled with all these kinds of bureaucratic things. You know, obviously they're giving special preference to, you know, people, diverse people or whatever else they want to say. So it's not even going to be a free market fair thing. Yeah, it's just a bad, crappy bill. And there's, you know, really the right route is decriminalization. That's probably the better way of handling things. Just get the government out of the way. But of course, the Democrats want to, you know, help out their special interests.
Do I start drinking now? I mean,
I'm ashamed that we didn't get that pour on camera
why?
because it's
good
a
pour.
cool bottle.
Oh, yeah, it's Willet. I had this not so long ago, you know, trying different bourbons. And I always walk by it because it's so unique and different. It's just I feel like I'm not a unique and different kind of guy.
Yeah.
I like to just get that straight, normal bottle. And it's a good bourbon. Got to admit, very good bourbon, which you can only do in Kentucky. Can't get a bourbon outside Kentucky. Unless you want to sponsor the show, maybe we'll talk. Also, I got to mention, William is brought to you by Ultra-Right Beer. No one's had it. No one's tried it. $50, 12-pack.
I bet Mort's a fan of Ultra-Right beer.
Ultra
you've
right.
heard
have
of
you
it.
heard of
know
this?
what that is?
No?
It's the conservative alternative to Bud Light.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
it's
it
from
got
some
created right
conservative-
after.
Oh, smart.
It's some conservative guy online who's selling it for like what is it, like $25?
No,
for
it turns
a
out to be
six-pack?
$54 if you want a 12-pack and you'll get it in a month. Because they actually haven't.
$54.75. You mean?
Yeah, right.
Gets delivered.
That's
I
right.
totally forgot. Yes, if you buy your Ultra-Red beer, you will be tagging on 75 cents, apparently. God help us. This is so crazy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Pull up the tax bill here, please.
Oh, and
Deep State
for
Dawson.
Tucker, who's watching, we couldn't find Hauenstein. Hauenstein. Yeah, we could not find it. So, sorry for that. We said we'd try it, and we'll try it some other day. Do you mind if we catch up on comments real quick?
Yeah, go ahead. Read some comments. We'll be here for an hour or two, so don't worry about it.
We
Go
got
ahead, read the
people coming in from all over the place. We have Tucker from Sleepy Eye, Mayor Kate Lane from Brooklyn Park. I'm so sorry.
comments. Did you say mayor?
Mayor Cat Lane. Yeah.
She calls herself mayor?
M-A-R-E? Well, Mayor Cat Lane, it's part of the fold. What are you fixating on here?
I thought you said like mayor, like the mayor of the town.
No.
Oh,
No, not mayor.
that's what I thought.
We have R.L.L. Bovey from Blaine, Minnesota. We have Frosty Girl from Maple Grove.
Good. We got Frosty Girl watching.
And we have Dave's Right from Cottage Grove. If that's a Dave that I think I know, welcome. Good to talk
Yes,
to you.
good to talk to
We
you,
got to
Dave.
talk about Fed Now. That's the requirement. I told Dave if he watches, we have to talk about Fed Now.
The digital currency by the Federal Reserve. Well, I'm sure a couple of whiskeys in, we'll be talking about that.
Monica Hran is from Carver. Laser Jim 56 is from Gaylord, Minnesota.
Gotcha. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate it. We get a lot of our audience not watching live, but maybe if we go to prime time, we'll get a bigger live audience. And break news as it comes. So once again, we talk about, you know, the Democrats want this delivery fee and gas tax. So let's pull up the article on surplus and taxes. There you go. Perfect. So this is interesting. Governor Walz ran. Mort, you were very in tune to the election. I mean, you were running yourself.
Yep.
Didn't this guy run and returning like $1,000, $2,000 of surplus, and that he is a governor who hasn't increased taxes before?
Yeah, I remember he started, I think, at like 250. Then he said he'd do 350. Then it was like 500. And of course, the closer the election got, he kept raising it up, and he got to $1,000.
No, it was even
Per
more.
person.
Look, scroll down. Here's a tweet from him. This is good because he love it when Governor Walz wants to play class warfare. Millionaires like Scott and Matt, so he's referring to Scott Jensen and Matt Burke, don't understand that working Minnesotans need $2,000 checks in their pockets. They killed that deal for their self-interest, but when Peggy Flanagan and I are reelected, we'll push to get this done. You didn't know that tweet existed. That's 4 days before the election.
What
He
a
hasn't
joke.
pushed it done to do really anything.
Yeah.
He's
done
just kind
nothing.
of sitting back and, all right, whatever legislation you guys send me, I'll sign it.
And what legislation they're
suggesting that-
signing is we can break this story down for you guys here. Let's go to the rebate checks. Just scroll down a little bit there, Dawson. So, mind you, the budget surplus is $21 billion. That means the government overtaxed you by $21 billion. What the hell does that even mean? Like, I don't know what $21 billion is. Stack it up. It's like reaches the moon. What does that mean? Here's what it means. They overtaxed every well, not every taxpayer. That's not how it works. But essentially, if you just divided equally, $8,000. So if we just divided the $21 billion equally amongst the 2.5 million taxpayers, that's $8,000 that we've been overtaxed in the last biennium and the upcoming biennium, which is what the projection's for. $8,000.
So are you suggesting that politicians are insincere while they're campaigning?
I would say Erik Mortensen is the only politician, and you're not even really were a politician. You were a really bad politician if you were a politician, but I don't think you were. You ran. You were a member of the legislature. You're the only one I know that never voted for a tax increase. Or I'm sorry, never voted for spending a dime of the surplus.
Or a tax increase or a spending increase?
Correct. Yeah, but I think there are a bunch that didn't vote for a tax increase. But you literally have never supported a dime of that money, the surplus, that I can recall. Am I correct on that?
No, it's 100%.
Right.
Sure,
Yeah. And you know,
Everyone else broke that
yeah,
promise.
And just like what's happening now, every single Republican, every single Democrat in this legislative session, both the House and the Senate, have all voted to spend surplus money. So
Are you sure about that?
Oh yeah.
What has been unanimously supported at this point?
Well, I'm saying I'd have to go back and think of some, but no, every single senator and representative has voted
For some kind of
some
tax
kind of
spending
appropriation
bill.
from the general fund.
There you go. Well, but so to just tear a hole in what you're saying, it is a budget year.
Mm-hmm.
So were they spending for the next biennium, or were they spending for?
I'd have to go back and look, but I think it happened pretty quickly before we were even discussing these budget bills.
Well, this is why I can say that with confidence with Mortensen, is because in the 2022 session, any money they spent, they never talked about this, but any money they spent was the surplus because it's new money, right? Whereas in a
They
lot of
never
this-
talked about it. It didn't stop them from holding or hanging up the Give It Back posters on their legislative offices
Yeah.
or
Mm-hmm.
going to the Give It Back rally at the Capitol, even though they just voted to spend billions of it.
Yeah. It's the same thing. Yeah, the Senate Republicans, Senate GOP, they have a sign that says return the surplus. And then they go and vote to spend it. You know, it's just crazy.
All right, so $21 billion. Let's go back to this article. Dawson, you could just kill it. Yeah, you can just kill that House floor session. I just want to show people that, and the Senate's still in session too, but they're doing the environmental bill or something like that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And probably climate change because
Yeah.
that's a real
yeah.
thing.
Environment, climate, and energy.
God, I can only imagine what's in that bill.
Yep.
You know, it's amazing the things that we've caught, and we'll discuss some of that stuff here, but yet we definitely haven't caught everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
No one's reading these bills. We're going to learn things a month later. All right, so 8,000 divided equally. Democrats, their final agreement on your surplus money. Now, once again, this is you've been overtaxed, right? They overcollected, overtaxed you. The rightful remedy is to give that money all back to you. All the Democrats could come up with is $260 back in your pocket. That's it. What happened to Walz's $2,000? Gone. $260. It's like 10% of what Walz said he wanted. So that's $260 per taxpayer. So if you and your wife want, I guess we get each $260. So $520 between you and your wife, or husband, or significant other, or what is there any other
Careful,
class there?
Jake. You're going to be canceled.
Partner.
If you
I was
don't
trying
list
to be-
them all.
That's
trying to be
what the
PC.
woke people
Let's
say
try
now.
to be
Partner.
PC. And then up to 3 dependents, okay? So a family like me, because I got 3 dependents and wife, we only get $1,300. So all of us together don't even equal what Tim Walsh said 4 days before the election. Do you see how much of a liar these guys are? I mean, this is a joke. So the total amount of that rebate program is $1.1 billion. That's 5% of the surplus. So the question is, what's the rest of the surplus? Well, some of it just retains on the book in the rainy day fund. Why does government have a rainy day fund? I don't know. Just to keep money out of our pocket. The rest of the money gets spent. Actually, that's what a rainy day fund is. It's future government spending. So just call it spending. They're spending 95% of your budget surplus. What a bunch of assholes. That's why we drink. That's why we drink. There you go. Cheers, guys.
Well,
Cheers.
the paid family medical leave tax is going to far exceed that $260 anyway. So this
Explain
little
that.
explain the bill.
Yeah, people. There's they hear some of these headlines, but you and I were chatting last week, and you're pretty.
I'm fired up
Shaked
about this
about-
bill.
yeah.
Like, to me, this is like a tipping point bill to me, which maybe sounds silly to some people, but this House File 2, paid family medical leave, they're essentially blocking out private businesses from having a plan. Now, the politicians would say, no, we have an opt-out. We have a private plan option. But the private plan option must provide the exact same benefits that the bill provides. And what they've done to fund this thing is they're doing an additional 0.7% tax on payroll, essentially another income tax. And so the employers have to cover at least half of that cost. And then they can, put the other half of the cost on their employees. But this thing's going to cost a fortune. It's a $1.4 billion tax increase. But what they did to the bill is they baked in a 45% increase every year. So this is the legislature punting on their job and empowering the commissioner to just reestablish the tax rate every year. And that, to me, is like the most terrible thing about that bill is when you put in law an automatic 45% increase. And I have to say it again because it's in the bill. It says the commissioner shall take the benefits paid out in the prior year and multiply it by 1.45. So they're going to bake this in a 45% increase every year. And then, of course, it's all the denominator is the payroll, essentially our entire state's payroll. But I don't think our labor force is growing 45% every year.
No
Yeah,
way.
and after all these policies, you'd think it'd shrink here.
Yeah, and so Washington State did this 4 years ago, and their benefits are nowhere near what our bill says. In Washington State, they have a 12-week max. We have a 20-week max
Every year.
every year.
Yeah.
40% of the year,
That's crazy.
people really wouldn't have to work.
Right.
And the reasons that you can get this government paid, taxpayer paid leave is pretty much whatever. Like, it's like a health issue, a medical issue, but the way they say it could be a safety leave. I'm feeling like I need a mental health day. Like, you can make up whatever. So I think it's absolutely absurd. And Washington State, they did it 4 years ago at 0.4%, and now they've doubled their tax in the first 4 years. And when I've modeled this out using the fiscal note and the language from the bill, I think this thing is going to be 300 to 400% higher, our tax. I mean, it's going to be probably a $7 billion program in like 7 years.
And the interesting thing about it is it doesn't take effect until 2026. So there's this like little shred of hope that maybe some smarts could come back to the Capitol by 2026 and they could extinguish the program and return the majority of the money.
Is this a punchline right now?
I know.
right.
Because Republicans are going to get in there and
I'm
and
grabbing
pull
for
back
any
an
hope.
entitlement program.
I'm grabbing help.
Uh-huh.
I just realized Tushi's going to take that photo now.
Yeah, I
I'll be
was
doing
thinking about that.
Jeez, I'm screwed.
Yeah.
That's
There
gonna
was an
be a
interesting thing about this paid family and medical leave that I thought was interesting. I think it was Senator Farnsworth had asked if people who are in a part of collective bargaining, groups, and whether that be a union or something else, whether they can exempt themselves. Some companies say that we offer benefits that far exceed what you're trying to require, and all you're going to do is screw us up. And it's like, these Democrats don't want to allow individuals to have any of the opportunity to decide this for themselves. And like you were saying, it hurts both the business and it hurts the individual. So they're taking money from both ends.
Yeah, I mean, in my company, we have a very, very generous PTO policy, but it doesn't line up 100% with the law, which is what the law would require.
Yeah.
And so what they've done is they've put that rate at 0.7%, so artificially low, that when you model it out like I've done, you'd be kind of stupid to even want to try to do a private plan because your commissioner has to approve it. Of course, you have to pay for the commissioner to approve your private plan. So I think out of the chute, a lot of companies are going to say, well, screw this. Why would we pay for this ourselves if we can just spread it out amongst the taxpayers?
Yeah.
But eventually, it's going to be far more expensive than just doing it in-house. Do we learn nothing when we were paying people not to work during COVID?
It's unbelievable. I mean, apparently not. And then we still haven't rebounded from that, right?
Yep.
Although we're creating so many jobs. Biden, good job. Yeah, right. All right, let's get back to this tax thing. I didn't even add that in this article because that's like the separate island, the family paid leave, but that's a huge tax increase.
I think it's going to be absolutely huge. I mean, the individual income tax brings in about $12 billion a year.
Right.
And I think this program is going to have to bring in 5, 6, 7 billion to be anywhere near sustainable when you're paying people not to work.
Just think
because
about
even like
that.
good people
Half
who
of the
love
income.
who they work for, you know, they want to honor that relationship and appreciate their boss, and you know they might not take those benefits, but if the state's paying for it, I think more people are going to start to take from that program.
Yeah, and I'm just worried about the small businesses. How do they not have an employee? Like, you got 3 employees. You can't just have one not working.
For 40% of the year.
Right. And then they're protected by law. You can't, like, fire them. You can't let them
You
go.
have to give them the same position when they come back.
But who's ever accused Democrats to understand how to run a company, right? I mean, certainly we're not going to, what's his name?
Andy Smith.
Andy Smith. We're
Small
not going
business
to him to
Smith.
find out. Yeah. Although I'm interested when he's going to teach his business classes, you know?
I would love to attend, see what he has to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was hilarious on his Twitter where he's giving business advice, where he's, you know, giving that whole little TikTok. It's so bad.
What was that he said? We should be supporting businesses that don't have a profit.
Yeah, things like
Something
that.
like
Yeah. It's like,
Those businesses
He
won't
is
be
an idiot,
around very
yes.
long to be
Yeah.
celebrated.
This is the level of skill and, you know, whatever they develop and talent they develop in the Democrat Party. And he's not the worst. Not at all. Because there is a, I don't know if you guys know this, there is a rather large-sized dude that's wearing dresses pretending he's a woman up at the Capitol. Did you guys know that?
you
I
know,
haven't heard anything about
Chris
that,
Finke.
really.
It's really interesting. Maybe we
Interesting.
should talk about him sometime. Wait till we get to the Star Tribune article about how we were wrong in the pro-pedophile language. You'll watch another sleight of hand. Finally, the media's talking about the pedophile stuff. Story broke. And, they're fact-checking groups like us, and they have this section about Lee Finke and referring to Lee as a woman, and then also saying there's people with a concerted effort to misgender her. Like, no, you're the one misgendering Lee Finke, because Lee Finke's a dude. You can't change from a dude to a woman. Biologically, you can't. Well, I haven't taken Andy Smith's Biology 101 class, so maybe I'm wrong on that. I don't think so. Dawson, pull up the images of the gender differences with no, I'm kidding. That always makes William blush when I say that. That wasn't a good
you
joke.
literally pulled up a penis and a vagina, and you're
Yes,
like, all right,
because
guys,
we
let's
need
take a
to
look
do
at
this.
this.
People don't know these days.
Feel like I'm
at
back
least
in
we
fifth
at least we
grade.
do. We're not drinking Bud Light here. We got PBR.
It's true.
Half Blue Ribbon.
It's not Bud Light.
Not Bud Light. Why did you take down the decoration? We had a great decoration.
I
on
feel
your
like
desk.
someone's going to clip it, like me next to a stack of beer and use it somewhere. I don't know.
What are you
What's so wrong with that?
Yeah.
so afraid of here?
Reminds me,
I
I'll
don't
take
know.
it.
yeah.
Yeah, of all the things to be worried about, William. Jeez, tell you what. Going back to the tax article, so then the next one, household delivery tax. As I mentioned before, this is going to go into their transportation bill. So it's not. So this is like a compilation of like their tax bill and their transportation bill. And so 75 cents, at least that's the last we've seen. They haven't got the final language to us yet. And that's why we showed you a tweet by Tom Hauser. But every package of food delivery sent to your home, Democrats want to add 75 cents. Now, if you return that item, you don't get your 75 cents back, right? So essentially, returns now go up in price because you're going to cost you 75 cents for any item you don't want anymore. I think it's important to note that only the wealthiest of us actually get home deliveries. So thank God they're standing up for the little man here. Only the wealthy pay this household delivery tax. Do you get a sense of humor in what I just said? I mean, you guys all know this is going to hit you hard. And once again, the other thing that they're doing is a Metro sales tax increase. Now, if you look at the Metro, there's a range between about 7.125% and 8.025. Minneapolis is 8.025. They're crazy. Excelsior is like 8.025. I think the majority are about 7.125 to about 7.3%. That's the sales tax in Minnesota, which is crazy because we also pay income tax.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the sales tax. They want to add another 0.75% onto that. So think about how many items you buy, especially large items. I imagine a car going to be still susceptible as tax?
Jeez. Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's
I just
a
had to
lot.
buy a car for my wife. That's a painful check. It was like, what, $3,000 I had to write? That sucks. That sucks to write that damn check, especially after I already, and I'm not getting any of it back because the surplus is not coming back to us. So
Speaking of the surplus, we have a question about it, and then some other comments I want to read here. So FJB on YouTube asks,
Nice name.
where did the majority of the surplus come from?
that's a great question. So two ways I want to address that. Mort, correct me if I'm wrong here, right? The surplus has been growing for, I don't know, 6-8 years. We were fighting against a Republican-led legislature. 2017, the Republicans were in full charge of the legislature. We were like, give back the $5 billion surplus. They wouldn't do it. Republicans wouldn't give back the surplus. So when they don't give back the surplus, the money stays on the books, and every year, so basically every 2 years, the biennium budget, there's just a higher amount of cash that you start out with at the beginning of the cycle. Then you take receipts, and then you subtract expenditures, and then if there's more receipts at the end, then the budget surplus grows. Does that make sense? So that's one reason. Number two, I mean, look what happened during COVID. We printed money out of thin air. And we just printed money out of thin air. We like doubled the money supply and just handed it to people and handed it to businesses. And that money churns through the economy. And as it churns through the economy through sales tax or income tax or capital gains tax, the government then gets a hold of that new taxed money and it raises the amount of money they have in a surplus. So those are two big reasons we have such a monumental surplus. And that's why a lot of states across the country had huge surpluses, because they just printed money out of thin air, handed it out to people, and that eventually ends up in government coffers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know if they're asking the mechanism, but it was sales tax and income taxes. And I think another big piece of that is when they just printed money like crazy during COVID and shot it all over the place.
Yeah.
We're seeing the effects of that now with inflation. And so when eggs go from $2 to $4, and you're still paying that 7% now on $4 versus $2. So I think inflation had a big factor in that.
Huge.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, more. You're getting a lot of love here on Rumble and YouTube. We have one comment from Laser
Don't
Jim.
tell him that. It'll go right to his head. Just got to keep him humble.
That's why we brought him on. I thought.
that's
to pump him up.
for ratings.
Laser Jim 56 says, "Run, Mort, run."
Yeah, I don't know what he's saying there. Does he mean get the hell out of
I'm
Minnesota?
going trail running this weekend.
Trail running? I don't think that's it. I think he's like, go to
Get the hell
Idaho.
out of this state.
And then over on YouTube, we have Jim who says, I wonder if that's the same Jim. Good to see Mort back on. The dude is a scholar on anything Ron Paul, Thomas Sowell, and Walter Williams. And Epic CJ24 Williams says, I miss seeing Eric in the house.
Thank you. I think I might know this Jim based on that comment. You might know this Jim.
Are they the same Jim, though, those two? The
I don't know
Rumble
if
and
they're the
YouTube
same,
guy?
but I think the second Jim sounds like a guy I used to work with.
Yeah, I don't like how William said it. It sounds like we only have one guy listening. And
No,
just
no.
three
I
of
have,
two
different
Jims out
platforms.
there.
do you want me to read through each and every comment? I can. We have a question about Amy Klobuchar and how she helped overthrow Ukraine. Maybe we can get into that later.
what? What is this all about?
Yeah, so it's from
Well,
Dave's
she
Right.
visited Ukraine, right? Her and who was that other?
Angie Craig?
No, it's a Republican. Like I can't
Lindsey
remember.
Graham, I think.
No, he's
No.
a Republican.
No, Republican. Yeah.
Yeah, not
Each of his
Lindsey
jokes.
Graham. Yeah, no, I can figure it out. You can say what you were going to say, William.
You have permission not to
That's-
say what
No, I'm not going to sit here and hold you guys up if I can't remember something. I'll figure it out.
Continue.
I think I missed a lot earlier, but we can. I guess Tucker wanted to bring up MTG filing articles of impeachment against
Good.
Biden, Mayorkas, and Ray.
Yeah, and what are the articles of impeachment? Like, what's the thing that she's alleging? 'Cause
I actually don't know.
there's so
this.
many things, right?
So if Tucker, you want to help us out in the comments there.
Yeah.
Oh, and then back on YouTube, TMBA says I posted the Lee Finke article in District 728, and it was taken down in 2 hours. Where did you post it? Was it like a Facebook group or?
I've heard someone else say something like that. Why
Because
don't
that's
we?
interesting.
But back
How-
to the
Go
the
ahead.
Ukraine thing. I got it. Okay, it
Oh,
was
okay.
Rob
What is it?
Portman. So I know that
You sure Lindsey
Amy
Graham is in that
Klobuchar.
pic,
Well,
too?
I'm sure Lindsey Graham goes to Ukraine all the time too. They're him and Zelensky. Yeah, I'm sure. But yeah, Amy Klobuchar, Rob Portman. They're both sitting there trying to provoke Russia, trying to get our people killed. So
Oh my God, we got to play the Fetterman video. Do you know what I'm talking about, Dawson? Did I put that in the thread? Here, I'll send it to you. Okay, I'm gonna put it in the show notes. Talk amongst yourselves. I got to get him this thing.
Well, I got something
Dawson
for you
stressed
guys.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go
This
ahead.
whole gas tax increase. One thing I'm looking forward to is Brad Tapke voting no on the transportation bill that I think he's a co-author on,
yeah,
because he campaigned on saying, "Look, yeah, I supported a gas tax in the past, but now we have tons of money. We don't need to raise the gas tax because we got this massive surplus." So he
Oh, yeah.
campaigned on not raising the gas tax, and of course told people he's full of shit.
yep.
And so maybe he'll prove me wrong and he'll vote no against his own transportation bill. But
Well, Judy Seeberger did the exact same thing. She was very mad. She said, "I want to go on record saying I do not support a gas tax increase at all." And we got
really?
that on
we'll
video.
see about that.
Yeah,
then,
we'll
won't
play
we?
that. We'll play that today.
We'll
Judy
play that
Seeberger.
later. Yep.
C6, cell C6. I put the tweet here. You have you seen this, Fetterman? This is the.
I heard audio on some talk show the other day where he just
This
sounds
is
ridiculous.
fascinating. He makes Biden look coherent here. Yeah, okay. Put the headsets on. This is John Fetterman, the esteemed freshman senator from Pennsylvania.
Is it staggering? Is it a
Turn it up.
staggering responsibility that that the head of a bank could literally crash our economy? It's astonishing. That's like if you have, and they also realize is that now they have a guaranteed way to be saved by how, So it's isn't it appropriate that this kind of control should be more stricter to prevent this kind of thing from going? Or should we just go on and start bailing and sailing whoever bank, regardless of how their conduct is? I'll give you an example. The
Oh, my
Republicans
God.
want to give a work requirement for SNAP. For a hungry family has to have this kind of penalties, or some kinds of working required. Shouldn't you have a working requirement after we sail your bank with billions of your bank? Because they seem to be more preoccupied than SNAP and requirements for works for hungry people, but not about protecting the taxpayers, that will bail no matter whatever does about a bank to crash it.
Oh my God, it's so painful. You know what I'm seeing there?
It's a good thing there's no work requirement for John Fetterman because he is not capable.
Looks like he needs that 20 weeks of paid leave. I'll tell you what's happening there, it just shows how phony, and you talk about this often, or did talk about it often, it's just like it's WWE at the Capitol. It's just a show. That's a show. You know what he's doing? He has no coherent thoughts. He obviously can't produce a thought and communicate it, but what he knows is the tone. So he knows if I go like this and I ask this and then I blah, 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 and I take my glasses off like I'm really digging into the subject, then put the glasses back on.
That's where he's been the last couple of months. He's been taking classes on how to act like a politician.
I don't think it was in the last couple months. I think he's been trained. This is what all these guys do. They're trained. Because you notice how all these politicians, they have that monotone speech giving, and this is what we're going to do. And blah, 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 and we got to take back America. It's like, where the fuck did they learn how to do that? They all do it.
Right.
Hillary Clinton being the worst. It's so bad that The Simpsons, their politician, the mayor, And I love how they throw like the JFK kind of accent on him, but he does the same thing. It's like it's a pattern that they all recognize in politics, that they got to have that monotone thing, and I'm speaking louder and louder.
Yeah. Funny you mentioned The Simpsons. Tucker says that Fetterman is the adult Ralph from The Simpsons.
You don't.
That's being kind, actually.
Yeah.
Based MN thinks that, I think Fetterman is out there to purposely rile up the right. The guy is basically brain dead. Mayor Cat Lane says, I'm just amazed that Fetterman is wearing a tie.
What are you saying, Mayor? I keep hearing Mayor.
M-A-R-E, Mayor.
Like the horse.
Yeah, she commented earlier like the horse. Assuming it's a she.
I've never heard someone start a name with Mayor. That's interesting. Have you? I'm like the only one that's.
It's a
above there?
username. None of these usernames make any sense.
Well, Tucker's Tucker, I think, allegedly.
FJB makes sense.
FJB, that makes sense, yeah. Lee Finke doesn't, but, you know. I guess she's just taking a page out of Lee Finke's book. You
Okay,
can call yourself
so-
whatever.
Mayor Cat Lane says real name is Mary, so
Hi, Mary. Thanks.
Jake doesn't keep commenting on it. I'll call you Mary from now on.
We love Mary. Is the real Carla Nelson, not the politician Carla Nelson, watching?
The Patriot Carla
Patriot Carla
Nelson,
Nelson?
I'm not seeing
watching
her.
last show
I do
either.
see Brad Ganser on YouTube.
There you go.
He's in the wrong spot though. He's supposed to be on Rumble.
YouTube. Oh, you know, he told me if you have an Android, which I don't know why you do, but if you got an Android, you can't comment on Rumble. So that's why he's on YouTube right now.
Oh, interesting.
A live comment, that is. So if you want to do the live chat.
Well, anyway, he says great to see Mort.
Yes. Brad Ganser, a good friend of the show. We'll have him on eventually. By the way, if you like what we're saying, go ahead and put a Rumble rant down. Then pay for the canes afterwards, because I got to give these guys more canes. Chicken. Apparently we're doing that. Oh, look at that. Thumbs up from Deep State Dawson. That Fetterman thing is interesting. He knows the patterns of politicians, but he doesn't have a coherent thought. And so it's just, and it's silence, because there's actually a witness that's supposed to speak. It's like some bankster.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the way
I
I
didn't
was
know it.
taking that too was like he was asking questions, but it was like the guy who was, testifying couldn't understand that he was being asked questions. Like maybe he thought like Fetterman's just asking these questions to himself. Like, what's going on? No, and obviously it's not even just Fetterman. I mean, Dianne Feinstein, she's out for lunch. I mean, she's like, ready to peel over and die.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
there was just a reporter who went up and asked her, like, so where have you been? Like, saying, you've been gone. Tell us about the absence of your time in the Senate. Dianne Feinstein forgot. Dianne Feinstein said, I've been here. I've been voting. Dianne Feinstein's been gone for like
I
3-4
didn't see that.
months.
Is this they got video of this?
I don't know. I just saw I saw a headline on it.
Oh.
I had no
as
idea
long
this
as
was
there's
in a
headline.
committee meeting when I heard it on the radio.
Oh,
yesterday. Like, I had no clue.
Huh.
And I think you're right. Like, you listen to him ask these questions, and I think he is asking a question.
Yeah.
But it's so
You
confusing.
should yeah, you should
The
have said,
witness must
I'm
be like,
asking you,
I don't think he's
Yeah.
asking a question, guys.
You
I
don't
think
think so?
he's literally uttering words that are coming to his head. But
Well,
he's
no, he
putting
was
these-
asking, like,
he's putting he's fooled you guys. He's putting an inflection on it, so it sounds like it's a question.
Well, it was a question.
Like,
Like,
it's
if
like-
you
it's
wrote
a
it down, it'd be a
yeah.
question mark at the end of it. He was saying, should we allow these banks should we be bailing out these banks for their conduct? And, yeah.
There's
So it
only
was a
one truth,
question.
Jake. You don't get your own truth.
Yeah.
And that was a question. I
Well,
thought
It was
I
a
heard
question.
2 or 3
I
questions.
think it's kind of like
Might have been
I
rhetorical.
think it's like I'm Ron Burgundy. That's kind of the way I look at it. Now I'll give you this. He did say should at the beginning, but I feel like it was a run-on sentence, and the should is out of the park now. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, if I were the witness, I wouldn't be answering those questions.
Boy, we should do a deep dive diagnosis of where is the question inside this 20 lines
Yeah.
sentence he rambled on. All right, let's finish up some comments here before we go back to the tax bill.
So Laser Jim 56 takes issue with the Rumble rant or the Rumble commenting thing. He says that he can comment on Rumble from Android.
Really? Well, I wouldn't be surprised if it was a user issue. Brad Ganser.
And God Save America is kind of roasting the Android people. It says Rumble chat with an Android, huh? And Tucker
It's like drinking
confirmed.
Bud Light on a Saturday, Gee. It's not fair. Brad needs to come in, then he can defend himself,
True, true.
Plus, he's one of the best Rumble rant donors that we have. It's really bad to just, make fun of your donors, but with Brad, it's like a special category, so I'm going to allow it. Go ahead. What else?
So Jim over on YouTube says the 2013 Smith I haven't actually read this. The Smith-Mundt Modernization Act of 2013 legalized the use of propaganda. How can we tell what is truth and what is theater?
Well, I think if you turn on the mainstream media, you'll know that's propaganda. Theater is basically any House floor session or Senate floor session. Mm-hmm. It's a great question. It's hard to tell these days, right? That's why we called our show The Truth Hurts. Because a lot of the stuff we're going to tell you is not going to be easy to hear, right? Like when Erik Mortensen says, everything at the Capitol has already been pre-orchestrated. You know, it's been figured out ahead of time. A lot of people don't want to hear that. They want to think, well, that damn senator, he gave a great speech and he really fought for me. No, he didn't. They had already figured out where they were going with this thing. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, Democrats, because they're in charge, they're not going to bring a bill onto the floor unless they got the votes. So, basically whenever I see a bill coming up and the Democrats are pushing it, it's basically like, well, I guess they got the votes because otherwise they wouldn't be doing this.
It's a rarity that, things go off script. That's actually why people like Donald Trump. One of the big reasons like Donald Trump is one of the few guys willing to go off script a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when I was in the House, it was interesting. You get to the floor. By the end, I got to be pretty good at this. I would scan the room and see who's dressed to the nines, whose hair's all done, whose makeup's all done. Mm-hmm. He'd be like, oh, they're going to speak on the floor today. They're going to speak on the floor today. Who has the best suit on? Jim Nash is looking sharp. He's going to speak on the floor today. It's
well, look at Lee Finke. Makeup's on. It must be Lee Finke.
Legs are shaved?
Yeah.
Do you think?
I don't know. I don't want to think.
Look, Dawson, see if we can find a pit. No, okay. Let's go back to the text article. Go to actionforliberty.com, by the way, if you want to follow along. Also, make sure you're following us on Rumble. Not YouTube. Screw those people at YouTube. Always censoring us. I don't think so. Gas tax increase. We've kind of talked about that. What's the next one here? They eventually end up... so Social Security tax. Okay. Correct me if I'm wrong, William, but did we not hear these people talk about getting rid of the Social Security tax many times on the campaign trail?
I think they promised a full repeal.
A full repeal of the Social Security tax. Guess what they're not getting?
A full repeal?
A full repeal.
Whoa.
So what right now is in the conference committee notes, and it hasn't come to the floor. We don't have the full language. They need to give them 12 hours, by the way. It's going to affect people with a federal gross adjusted income of $100,000. So all the way up to that, it's a full elimination of the Social Security tax. Then tax filers between 100K and 140, there's like a little phase out. But if you have income over 140,000, which I don't think is that crazy, that's not a ton of money as a senior, especially with costs going up and stuff. And mind you, seniors, like healthcare costs are going up big time. They're going to actually pay full Social Security taxes. So, and of course, this is the class warfare of the Democrats. Well, the wealthy have got to pay their fair share. It doesn't matter if they're elderly, and this is money that was taken from them by the government via taxation. They still got to pay taxes on it. And this is one of the problems with the Democrats. Let's just be honest about it. Democrats are socialists. Modern-day Democrats, they are socialists. Mm-hmm. They're not the Kennedy, the JFK Democrats. They're socialists. They don't believe you own your money. They actually kind of believe money is a public utility. Mm-hmm. And so, in fact, many of them probably believe your whole inheritance should go to the state. Certainly that is the policy of Medicaid if you're on Medicaid.
Well, that's the thing. Even if you look at, someone who calls themselves a moderate Democrat, their voting record is almost indistinguishable from the most radical leftists in the state house or state senate. So, they claim to be moderates, but there's only one or two votes that differentiate themselves from the rest of these Democrats. So you're right. The Democrats are run completely by these communists.
I think that's being generous, one or two votes. I think you're a pointless amendment or something.
Right, exactly, yeah. I remember an unconsequential vote, right?
Yeah, I remember Hochschild talked about, look at me, I don't vote with my party all the time as some minor thing that had no big relevance in the end.
Adding a comma.
Yeah, and as Mort says, I think it was on a gun bill or something like that, but as Mort says, it's all preordained, right? So essentially they gave him this one throwaway to say he doesn't go with the party. And Judy Seeberger, not moderate, says, I stand up to Ken Martin. We need to have more moderate policies. Then vote that way, Judy Seeberger. You're not doing that, are you?
She's literally the deciding vote. She can change everything if she wanted to.
Right.
Yeah.
And she doesn't.
And she never does. Yeah. She goes along with all this crap. All right, let's go to the last one here. $2.2 billion tax increase over the next 4 years for business owners. I'm going to show you this. There's a chart here. And this chart is showing two bienniums, that is, 2024-25. So that starts in July of this year, July 1st. And then they go to the next biennium in 26-27 fiscal years. And so, and of course, we don't know, like, you'd have to be a real big tax expert to know what all these line items are. But essentially, one of the big line items here is the standard itemized deduction that most families get. Now, if it's just standard, you get 26,000 or something like that, a family, 13,000 individual. And then, of course, you itemize it. It could be like charities and stuff like you give, mortgage interest payments. If you make over $304,000, essentially you're not getting the full itemized deductions. And then if you make over $1 million, and I don't know what it means 20% over $1 million, but in some way they are finding a way to stop itemized deductions for millionaires. So my question here is, does that then de-incentivize some of these people to give to charity? Because I imagine if you're making $1 million a year, what are the majority of your itemized deductions on your individual personal returns? Certainly in your business returns, it's business expenses, but it'd be charitable giving.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything on the personal deductions yet. So the charitable giving, so they're actually attacking millionaires because millionaires are evil, awful people, right? According to the Democrats.
Who
which they
do
don't believe
most
that
of
for
the
a second.
donations to charities.
Yeah.
Like, that's
Right.
who donates.
But what I mean, just think about this, Mort. What are the itemized deductions on a personal filing for a person making over $1 million? It's going to be, if it's large, it's charitable giving.
Well, the Democrats hate charity. They want everybody addicted to government charity. They don't want any private charity.
That's a good point.
Well, you know what they say, Jake.
They say that, William. They definitely say that. So total, that is $2.2 billion roughly for next 4 years in tax increases on the wealthiest. This one is going to hit the wealthier. They also have, they up the child tax credit to, like, I think it's $1,750 per child. And that's a tax credit. It's a refundable tax credit. So if you have no money, like you don't pay any taxes, then you're just going to get $1,750 per child. Right? What was that?
That must be pretty nice for you.
Well, I will reduce my taxable income. Yes, I agree. But I'm saying, like, I don't have zero tax liability.
No,
William.
I'm
So
sure
there's going to be people
yeah.
that just getting money from me and from all the other taxpayers.
Right.
And yes, of course, it's nice for us, but I'll tell you this much: it's very costly to have a child.
That's true.
But my long-term strategy is to outpopulate the left, and we're doing a good job because the left's not really having a lot of kids.
Sorry, I hate to interrupt. I have some breaking news. Really wanted to talk
I feel
about
like
this real quick.
I think he's got a joke here.
Yeah.
There.
Brad Ganser on Rumble says, "I get the hint. Get on Rumble."
That was breaking news.
I just had to
Was
announce.
that a
to
Rumble
everyone.
rant? You can't break the story if it's not a Rumble rant there,
You
William.
can't
Jeez.
talk about a comment if they haven't paid for it, William.
Yes, they got to pay for Brad Ganser I know he's going to get a child tax credit. Actually, how many dependents does Brad have now? He's lost 2, I think, because they're all grown up. Although I think Brad would argue they are still dependent.
Based Minnesota says many articles have been written about how Republicans give more to charity than liberals.
Correct, yes. That is correct. Because the Democrats just believe government's charity. Very charitable to give other people's money away. I wrote something like,
Well, one thing, just the average liberal, they hate paying taxes too. That, like, the average liberal, they're so stupid. They vote for these Democrats that just do nothing but raise their taxes. But, that's why you can't even take it seriously when liberals complain about high taxes. It's like, you voted for this. This is what you wanted. And, people shouldn't be surprised when the Democrats are targeting the little guy. That's the definition of the Democratic Party nowadays. It's, all for their special interests, all for the lobbyists, and all to, who knows, transgender kids, everything else is screwed up.
Yeah, I have a family member who has voted Democrat her whole life, but is now leaving Minnesota. And told me it's because the taxes are just too high here.
Yeah.
I
No,
just
it's funny.
Can't help but laugh. It's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
no, I mean, that's why so many people leave California, and then they bring their policies elsewhere. So,
Yep.
yeah. But some of them wake up. Some of them wake up and go, I gotta change this thing around. Yeah, this ain't working.
Yeah, I heard from a buddy who lives in Arizona that there's some billboard on whatever interstate, as you're leaving California, you go to Arizona, that says like, welcome to Arizona, leave your politics behind, or with you in California.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Cheers, by the way, William.
Cheers.
And we need this to drown our sorrows, apparently. Willet, you never had Willet? Willet bourbon?
No, I haven't.
Take a swig. Tell me what you think. I know you're a White Claw guy, but
Strong.
strong.
And this is a celebration. We do have to take a cheers because Brett Ganser has given a Rumble rant.
There you go.
I'll tell you what, for every Rumble rant, we'll all take a drink. How's that sound?
All right, that's quite a gamble with our audience.
They're gonna start rumble ranting a penny. You know.
Okay, how much did Brad get?
Brad gave $10, and he
Okay,
said,
it's got to be a Rumble Rant of $10 at least.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll do a drink. If you give a Rumble Rant of $10, we'll do a drink. Okay.
and he says, Jake, let your guest speak. Mort was savage for doing what he was going to do. He is more interesting than you. 5 kids.
Do you? Well, he bought that Rumble Rant. Do you feel like I'm silencing you?
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
You're not like I'm watching Mort. If he wants to speak, I'm letting him speak. How dare you? This is unbelievable. Oh man,
But I do agree I'm more interesting.
you are an interesting guy. There's no doubt about that. That's the reason they still talk about you on the house floor.
Yeah. No, it is funny how rent free you live in all these people's
It
heads.
is
You know, it's
hilarious.
like you're there for 2 years and like they just can't get over you. Like you shook them up that bad.
I do enjoy that.
Yeah, you
With a
got
badge
it.
of honor, 'cause,
I'll
yeah.
throw this at you, Mort. Though, as interesting a guy as you are, how do you like your burgers?
Well done.
And no
With
cheese
bacon and barbecue sauce.
and usually ketchup, right?
Some ketchup, sure.
There you go.
That's how I prefer my burgers.
I'm a boring burger
It's
eater.
well done.
You
I
all
know. I'm just
criminals.
saying, as an interesting guy, he's like, I don't like any interesting stuff in my burger.
You know what? I think Jesse and I
in
agree. Medium rare to rare is the best.
For a
For a
burger?
burger?
Oh yeah, I like everything as rare as possible.
Yeah, I
So
don't have rare ground beef. That's weird.
you can eat raw beef.
You can. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
you
So
don't.
why can't you eat a burger rare? You know.
It's a little weird to have a burger.
Maybe
right?
not
I'm gonna make you a
rare,
burger next time I
but
Yeah.
medium rare.
raw, just as you want it.
I'm good with it.
Enjoy watching
Does
it.
anyone in our audience eat a burger rare?
So Tucker, oh, you know what? Bad Hat Harry is vindicating me here. He says, "Well done!" Question mark! Exclamation point! Question mark!
Yeah, it's,
Rad
it's a
hat-
hockey puck.
Bad Hat Harry says, "Rare is the only way."
Really?
Tucker 91 says, "Burgers, well done. Steaks, medium rare to rare."
Yeah, I agree. I like my steaks medium rare. I think rare. I'll eat rare, but I don't know. I like a little bit more cooked.
Okay, so Mary agrees with you more. Well done is the way to go. Or no,
I'm not saying
pink.
steaks. I'm not saying I want my steak
Yeah.
well done. But
That's how Trump does his steaks. He does them well done with some ketchup.
I guess
Of
so.
course you
Yeah.
would.
I don't see Donald Trump being served a butterflied filet mignon.
Trump is an anomaly. All right, let's go. What story do we want to go to? I want to tell you about this trans athletes. I would rather bring up the Star Tribune article. Let's bring this up. So if you haven't tuned into our show lately, we have been talking about this pro-pedophile language that made it into the Minnesota House and the Senate bill, and it passed. In fact, has Governor Walz signed it yet? He's going to sign it.
Wait, which one are we talking about here?
SF 2909.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he signed that.
Would he sign today? It was headed to
I don't
his
know. I
desk.
don't know if I've watched the ceremony or if there was any kind of signing ceremony yet. But yeah, it's definitely on his
Well,
desk. So
Here, I can check.
Yeah, and I looked this morning. He hadn't signed it yet.
Oh, so maybe not.
Yeah, well, he's got 3 days. So we brought the story to you that actually let's back up real quick in case they haven't done it. Go to actionforliberty.com, Dawson. Sorry to put you on the fly here, try to change things, but actionforliberty.com. Let's pull up that article that we have on it. Or you could go to the show notes from Tuesday, and then it'll be that first article. So we can walk you through exactly what this thing does.
Which one is it?
Scroll down. God, we write so many articles these days. Yeah, we got to go down all the way here. So this is going to be probably at the bottom of that page. Yeah, we're doing there you go. Perfect. About 3 articles a day. Go ahead and click on the title there. All right, so this is what the pro-pedophile language does in the bill that just got sent to Governor Walz's office. Scroll down just a tad. So they changed the language in the omnibus bill, the gun control and pedophile omnibus bill, and they remove in the definition, okay? So you see where it says 22 Minnesota statutes. If you scroll down just a little bit more, Dawson, that is the definitions of what's known as the Human Rights Act, the Minnesota Human Rights Act. Democrats amended this to change the definition of sexual orientation to remove the language that says pedophilia is basically not a sexual orientation. They removed it. It's in law right now that pedophilia or sexual attachment of a child from an adult is not a sexual orientation. So by removing that from the bill, then if you look at the next section of the Minnesota Human Rights Act, scroll down a little bit, it's called the unfair discriminatory practices. Now, someone can construe the law as someone who has an attraction to children, not that they act on it, but they have that attraction, have protected rights according to this act, which means an employer can't refuse to hire a pedophile or discharge an employee who's a pedophile. A property owner can't refuse to sell, rent, or lease property to him. A private company can't refuse to sell goods and services to a pedophile. And a school or college cannot discriminate against a pedophile for what they call full utilization of benefits from any educational institution. That's what got changed in the law. We never said that it's okay to take a child and have a sexual act on them. Okay? That's still prohibited by law. We never said that. What we are worried about is that's the road they're going down by changing this. Because what constituency wanted to change the law? So what we brought up on the show on Tuesday is the mainstream media hasn't talked about this. Like, they removed this pedophilia language in a bill, and it gets rushed through the Senate and the House, and Republicans did bring it up on the floor debate. Debate, right, Mort? Debate.
Yeah, debate.
And then it gets passed, and now it's going to Governor Walz, who said he's going to sign it. And they finally wrote about it, and here's the Star Tribune article, and this is something really hilarious. Legal experts say change to Minnesota Human Rights Act won't protect pedophiles. GOP claims DFL will protect adults sexually attracted to children by deleting a sentence from the 1993 law by Rochelle Olson in the Star Tribune. This was published this morning at 9:58. GOP lawmakers leveled a heavy accusation at the DFL majority during public safety debates in recent days, accusing them of protecting pedophiles, adults who are sexually attracted to children. A disproportionate amount of debate in the House and Senate over the 500-plus page, $3.5 billion public safety bill focused on the removal of one sentence from the state's Human Rights Act. And they're quoting, sexual orientation does not include a physical or sexual attachment to children by an adult. So that's what's in law. They removed it. Representative Harry Niska said some may now interpret the HRA to deem pedophilia as a protected class in Minnesota, which prevents them from being denied employment, housing, education, more. And he's right. That's what we just walked through with you. Okay? We're going through what the actual Minnesota Human Rights Act does. They changed the definition. Now you can't have unfair discriminatory practices against someone that's got a sexual attachment to a child. Can we all fucking agree that that's wrong? What's wrong with our society? That's wrong. But there are people advocating for it. This kind of answers our question from Tuesday. Jess Braverman, legal director for Gender Justice, a St. Paul nonprofit that has advocated for the change, called GOP complaints manufactured outrage. To protect pedophiles in the HRA, the legislature would have to specifically add them as a class, Braverman said. That's not true. We all saw what they just did. Mike Steenson, professor of law at Mitchell Hamlin School of Law, agreed with Braverman. Quote, this doesn't create some sort of broad-based protection for those who prey on minors, he said. By the way, we never said that either. Mike Braverman or Mike Steenson, we didn't say that. What we said is exactly what we just showed you, and it clearly does. The Minnesota Human Rights Act prohibits discrimination based on race, religion, disability, national origin, sex, marital status, family status, age, sexual orientation, and gender identity. As for the potential for Minnesota judges to find that by removing that language, the legislature's intent was to protect pedophiles, Steenson said, I can't imagine any court would interpret this way. I can. If you don't think a court would interpret that way, you are nuts. Are you watching what courts are doing these days? They're insane. And it takes a left-wing judge, one left-wing judge, which there's plenty in Minnesota. And then it goes on to say, earlier in the session, Niska, a lawyer, added language to the bill that read, and by the way, Niska was a lawyer. He was a clerk for a judge, I think a federal judge. I think he would know something about this. He had an amendment. It was unanimously supported in the House, and it said the physical or sexual attachment to children by an adult is not a protected class under this chapter. That was unanimously supported in the House, and then Democrats, who control the whole conference committee, removed that from the bill. Why? Why would you remove that? What the hell's wrong with that language? So Braverman needs to note that Minnesota statutes already criminalize adult sexual relationships with minors. Pedophilia falls into a number of categories of criminal conduct, and that's not changing, Braverman said. And I agree with that statement. Luckily, for now, if you act on your attachment to children or your attraction to children, it is still illegal. However, having that attraction openly is now a sexual orientation according to Minnesota law. You are nuts if you don't see it that way. We just clearly ran through that. And then this is the line, and they go on to talk about a little bit of the debate. In the House, Representative Lee Finke, DFL St. Paul, denounced the GOP arguments and called the language in the act a poison pill. I'm sorry, I got to do the Lee Finke voice. A poison pill. Finke, the first transgender legislator in Minnesota, sponsored the bill to remove the language and add gender identity as a protected class, which is now in the public safety bill awaiting the governor's signature. In her first session at the Capitol, she's been verbally attacked both inside and outside the Capitol, with some Republican colleagues threatening to misgender her. I think the people misgendering Lee Finke is the Star Tribune right now because she's not a woman. Lee Finke is a dude. His name is Chris. You can't throw on a dress, dye your hair. Who knows? Probably tux, so it'll fit nice in the Adidas swimsuit. You're not a woman. You know, you're not a woman. You don't have ovaries. You don't produce eggs. You can't get pregnant.
Real quick.
Go ahead.
I regret to inform everyone we must take a drink. Bad Hat Harry says Prost and gave us a $10 Rumble Ring.
Thank you, Bad Hat Harry. We will honor that one there. And I'm drinking bourbon, so this could get really dangerous. I'm going to have to stop reading articles here soon.
Isn't Prost cheers in German?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
I didn't know you spoke German. Very good.
I know a little.
Look at it. He has a couple
When it
of
comes
beers.
to alcohol, he knows all things. German.
Sure.
He had a couple beers in, and he's speaking German.
And it sounds like a lot of people are drinking with us, or at least they have a beverage.
How do you not
have
drink
to.
when you do? Look at
You
this.
do.
This is crazy.
Yep.
Well, what's interesting about this, so they're setting the table for what they're doing. And just, I don't even want to get into what Lee Finke is saying his intent is, because why do it this way? It just makes no sense unless your intent is to do exactly what we're talking about. But then the the Senate today passed that, what was it, 37, where they want to do a constitutional amendment
Right.
and put it on the ballot. And there they refer to discriminating based on sexual orientation. So now that they're going to change the definition, now it's going to get a little further embedded in, potentially,
Right.
in our state constitution if the voters want it.
I would
Right.
think if this ever gets tried in court, someone goes to a judge and they go, Your Honor, this language does not prohibit an attraction to children. It just says to a person, and the legislature removed that from the bill.
Yeah,
So
how long
I don't
will
know
it
how
take-
they can make that argument anymore.
Well, and how long will it take for somebody to do just that and say, well, these laws against pedophilia are discriminatory based on our Human Rights Act?
And that's exactly where they're going with
Yeah,
this.
it's
Let's
coming.
be honest. They believe in drag shows for minors. It's ridiculous. They think they can hack up the sexual organs of you little children. Why would they not be down the road for pedophilia? They're crazy. This is actually a big problem worldwide with societies, not real societies. Pedophilia is a thing. It's a big thing. People
Yeah.
know that.
Right. Well, I mean,
And
just,
we got- and
just
we
the
gotta
fact
squash
that they're so concerned about the sexual orientation of children. Why? Only because they're interested in children. Why else would they be trying to talk about sex stuff around kids?
Right.
Kids, they shouldn't be thinking about that stuff. You start thinking about that stuff in puberty and stuff, but you shouldn't have adults forcing their opinions onto kids. They're sexualizing them.
It's
Well, and
just
remember having
disgusting.
that conversation with your parents, the birds and the bees? It
Yeah.
was awkward then with your parents.
Right.
For those of us who are parents have to have that conversation. It's
Yeah.
awkward. I can't imagine being a teacher or an activist and wanting to talk about this to kids that aren't even yours.
Yeah.
No, I actually can understand. They really want to, right?
I know they
yeah,
want
yeah,
to, but
it's
it's
insane.
gross. It's so
It's so
disgusting.
gross.
that they
Yeah.
want to.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like, wait, what do you want to do? That's what you're dedicating your life to? That's the kind of stuff you do? That's weird. Yeah.
Dawson,
know.
pull up a fresh Google page. Let's look up gender justice. It's a St. Paul nonprofit, which is interesting because now they admitted who's behind this bill, this language change. So I think we got to learn more about this. Hey, did you know gender justice? They ever come lobby you when you were at the Capitol?
I didn't. I think I had like 2 lobbyists in my time.
Yeah. Oh,
Got
yeah.
out pretty quick.
Yeah, I think they figured out it was a waste of time.
What were the two? Okay, so gender justice.
I have some interesting thoughts here. I think you're going to talk about one of them. I have another thing to talk about here.
All right. Well,
Weird
look at that picture.
group.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Go click on the main page. Gender
Yeah, right there.
justice. Advancing gender equity through law. Yep, you guys are trying to change the law. That's true. We fight for gender equity, economic justice, reproductive freedom and justice, freedom from gender-based violence, trans and LGBTQ liberation. I think that would be the category for this pro-pedophilia. Let's go up. Who's in the staff? Let's find out who's behind this organization. About us. There we go. Let's see here. Core values. Meet our team. There we go. I always like to find out the personalities behind it. Megan Peterson, executive director. Tara Haggart.
She, her.
What's that? Oh,
She,
yeah,
her.
of course.
Pronouns.
Oh, now look at that. Scroll down there. There's Aaron May Quaid, a sitting senator. Well, isn't that special? Okay, so they're behind it. Aaron May Quaid, sitting senator, far leftist Democrat from, what is that, Apple Valley area?
I think that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
So what's interesting about this website, if you scroll down, it also includes language for unrestrict Minnesota. If you scroll back up, you'll see, I can't read it from here, but someone has like the unrestrict Minnesota political director or something like that.
Unrestrict? What do you mean?
So you guys are I'm sure you're familiar with unrestrict Minnesota.
It's an abortion group, right?
Yeah, it's a very extreme abortion group. They have billboards all over the metro
Oh, I know
now.
what you're talking about now. Yeah.
I think these two groups are intertwined somehow.
Monica Meyer, political director. Let's see who else we got here. Scroll down a little bit. There's the Jess Braverman. Click on Jess Braverman. I want to. Of course, that's what that person looks like. Of course.
Pronouns are
I could have guessed that one.
Yeah.
What are the pronouns on that?
all pronouns.
All pronouns.
Oh boy, that
You
could
are
be-
confused. Jess, I'm sorry. What do we think? Jess is a lady, right?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I don't know.
I think it's obviously a confused lady.
All right, I got to get a better look. Gender justice. Tell us what you guys think.
All pronouns.
So there's also
We
this,
got to get the pronouns right, guys.
I
It'd be
scrolled
just terrible.
down. I found it. Abina Abraham. They list her as the unrestrict Minnesota campaign director, and that's her official position under gender justice. So it's like these two groups are combined, and the reason that's important is because Aaron May Quaid was the author of that extreme abortion bill.
Yes, 100%.
So
Yeah, Aaron McQuaid just.
there's definitely a conflict of interest here.
Jess Braverman is the legal director at Gender Justice, where she ensures that our litigation strategy not only promotes the dignity of her clients, but also advances our mission at removing barriers to gender equity. Now, I think we were right. We all guessed she was a girl, but because it's all pronouns, we will now refer to Jess Braverman as he. So this dude, I guess, is the head legal person at Gender Justice. Jess. All right, let's see. I'm just going through here real quick. I'm not seeing names that are standing out, but it's not like I live in this world. Board of directors, she, her, hers. I'm not gonna read the names of the board of directors. I'm just gonna read their pronouns. We got a she, her, hers, another she, her, hers. We got a he, him, his, a she, her, hers, a she, her, hers, they, them, theirs.
It's like a tongue twister for you.
She, her, hers, he, him, his, she, her, hers, she, her, hers, a they, them, theirs, a she, her, hers, a she, her, hers, a she, her, hers, and a she, her, hers, and they, them, theirs. Go to the bottom, my God. Prairie Rose Seminole is a she, her, hers, and they, them, and theirs. Oh, my God, and look at that person. That is a them.
Wow.
This is the crazy group that brought you the pro-pedophile language. Prairie Rose Seminole, and that's their tribal person too, apparently, because that's the other thing the left is really big on. Democrats right now is like the tribal representation on everything. Makes me think of Parks and Rec. That is the funniest show when they got the tribal guy.
Yep.
Oh man.
Monica H. Ron 01 says, bunch of, I'm going to say darn freaks, because I don't swear on air. That's my policy.
Okay, I know, right? She lives with her partner. There are 7 dogs and 10 horses in White Shield, North Dakota. I could have guessed that. Yeah, I would have thought maybe a couple more dogs than 7, but 7 dogs, that makes sense.
Who's that? The she, her,
That's
her,
the
they,
she,
they,
her,
them?
hers, they, and they,
Oh,
them, theirs.
Wow.
It is actually, I feel like writing a song about this. She, her, hers, and they, them,
That
theirs.
was a bit
You
of a
already
tune
sang
there.
the song.
It is. It's got like a little bit of a...
She, her, hers, they, them, thens,
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
Can I get a she, her, hers, and a they, them, theirs?
Well, I got a story for you.
Go ahead.
So, like a week ago, my jaw was locking up. And on Monday, I was like, screw it. I got to go to the doctor and see what's going on with this thing. So I go to the doctor, and I showed her how I can unlock it by, like, moving my jaw and dropping it to the left, and it pops. And she, like, lost it. Took a big step back. She's like, we need to get you to see a specialist.
Can you do this? You showed this to me on air. Can we do this on air?
Yeah, I don't care. Let's
Watch
see.
this. This is crazy. Is it going to work?
Oh, it'll work.
All right,
You'll
watch
be able
this.
to hear it.
Can we get the audio turned up on Mort?
Oh,
Did you guys hear
man.
that?
I heard
That
it.
was even
Did
a
you hear
bad
that at
one.
home? Well, try it again. Close your jaw. Put the mic
I think the
closer.
doctor would probably advise me against doing this.
Yeah, well, what does the doctor know? Have a shot of bourbon. Rebel rant.
What's going on with your jaw?
Did you see that?
I-
Put the mic closer to you. Do the jaw thing again. Watch this and zoom
Mort's
in on
locking
Mort's
his jaw.
face. Oh my
Oh,
god!
man.
They both clicked there. So anyway,
Yeah.
I hope people heard that at home.
We can, yeah.
hopefully nobody zooms
Turn
in
the
to
bass
see
up.
But so I go to the doctor. She tries to give me a specialist. Specialist call later today, and they say, well, who's your insurance? And I say, United Healthcare. They're like, oh, sorry, they're out of network. Or they're out of network for them. So I call United Healthcare to see what's going on, where can I go? And they said, oh, no, for like a TMJ issue, you have no coverage. And I was like, how can I have no, I can barely open my mouth. Like I had Subway for lunch and I had to scrunch it down.
Would they say a TM?
TMJ.
Tongue, mouth, and
TMJ.
jaw,
Oh,
or
okay.
what?
Oh no, it's something I couldn't pronounce it.
I think that I actually have I get the same thing quite a bit where my jaw will lock up and then you gotta
yeah, I've
crank
had
it
it
out
like
of place.
3 or 4 times, but it's been days now. So anyway, here's-
Temporomandibular.
Yeah.
Mandibular.
joint. Okay.
So anyway, I'm baffled. I was just not covered. So I was like, well, all right. Well, what if I want to become a woman? What if I want a sex change?
Mm-hmm.
Does my insurance cover that? And she actually said, well, let me find out. And she came back. She said, I don't know. You're going to have to call our gender dysphoria department.
Oh, no.
So she transferred me to the gender dysphoria department.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, look, if I want to be a woman, will you pay for it? And they're like, oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm like,
Wow.
okay, well, what if I get pregnant then? And, will you pay for the delivery of my baby? And she's like, yep. and then she's like, well, after your transition, yes. And I'm like, well, what if I
No,
get
she
pregnant
said
before?
that though. She said
Yeah.
once you transition.
Yeah,
That's
so I said, well, if I get
incredibly
pregnant
What does she
before
think happens
transition?
in the transition surgery?
And I don't think
Yeah.
she got it in my humor, but and then I'm like, well, okay, what if I don't want the baby? Will you pay to abort my baby? She's like, oh yeah, that's covered.
Wow.
So I'm like, how is it possible that
What?
I can get my sex changed, you can abort a man's baby, you can
Yeah.
pay for the birth of a man's baby, but I
Uh-huh.
can't open my mouth to eat like a slice of pizza?
Wow.
I think eating's
Mr.
pretty
Garrison,
normal.
you can't get pregnant. You don't have ovaries.
So this whole gender thing is just kind of absolutely crazy that even the healthcare companies, and I guess it's not a shock, but they're going to pay for these things. We're going to pay for them for inmates in prisons,
Yeah.
but I can't get my jaw unlocked.
Mm-hmm.
Wow,
You would
not
think
covered.
like these health insurance companies would have no benefit to doing that, just because like you'd think that you're making the health of that person worse. I can't imagine a person where they transition and they're healthier because of it. So you'd think that the insurance companies wouldn't want to, they wouldn't want to encourage people to do something like that, but they got to stay woke.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many people up at the Capitol are glad your jaw is shut.
Yeah.
I can still get some words out, obviously.
All right.
Yeah, we got a lot of comments on that story actually. So
We'll read the most colorful ones first.
so Tucker 91 can't do that with his jaw. It looks like he tried. God Save Our Republic says United Healthcare, they suck. Let's see here. Based Minnesota says, hopefully Finke wasn't the cause of the lockjaw. Was Finke the cause of the lockjaw?
What is he trying to do? Base?
But I can assure them I've never met.
But what do you think Base Minnesota is trying to say there?
I think we know.
A jab? I don't know.
I
It
think
could be
they
a jab. A punch? Is that what?
That's not what I read into it.
Okay.
Well, you get the joke, right?
I was just wondering if that's where we're going here. I mean, it is after hours here. How dare you, Base Minnesota?
God Save Our
I love how
Republic
William's
says.
like, do you get the joke?
Well, no, because I don't think you did get the joke.
William, I'm getting it. I'm
Okay.
not going to bring this up on the show. We do cover. Bring up the male genitalia over there.
God Save Our Republic says a good chiropractor will take care of that, and people are reacting to the lockdown.
Chiropractor?
It pops
No,
right
no,
here.
do not go to a chiropractor for that. I have qualms with what this person says. What you got to do, you got to get, if it's a chronic issue, you get your face cut open, you get a steel bar put in on either side, and then that's a new joint.
No.
And
Oh.
you have to have your mouth
Oh.
shut.
More metal
wired
in my
shut for,
joints?
like,
I was going to say
Yeah.
hip and now jaw, right?
Yeah, I'm going to get my other hip hunt done.
Oh, yeah.
And then over on YouTube, Jim asks, did Mort wear out his knee pads as well?
Oh,
I don't
man.
get it.
Well, our audience, I think if you're going to read those kind of colorful, and I did ask for the colorful commentary.
You did ask
Well,
for the
you know,
color
They
comments.
have to do a rumble rant. So
there is no evidence that Lee Finke has actually transitioned all the way. Like the last, like an article from 2019 or 2020 or something was Finke saying like, "Oh, I hope to be able to do this in the future." So if Finke didn't do it back then, I don't know if it's happened in the meantime.
I'm not joking. I think the Adidas swimsuit edition is made for Finke because you got to
Yeah.
tuck that package
You know what,
somewhere.
Jesse? You should do some investigative journalism here. Ask Finke out on a date, and
Yeah.
then
I can tell you he hasn't done it yet.
You don't think so?
You know what's interesting though is even if he cuts off the junk, it still doesn't make him a woman.
Yeah.
That's the interesting
No.
thing. Did you know that? That's science right there.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't even have to take Andy Smith's biology class for that one. Amazing.
I think Lee Finke's teaching biology.
Yeah.
Yep.
Equal Rights Amendment. Let's bring that up. The article on Equal Rights Amendment, line 10 there for you. We'll talk about the Uber bill, too. That's interesting. Paid family, we talked about that. Weed bill. Yeah, let's bring up the Equal Rights Amendment. This is something that was interesting. We basically found out about it this morning.
Yeah.
No, I take that back. Jesse was watching the Senate last night, but I don't think Jesse relayed this message to me. So I wake up this morning finding out we have now passed a constitutional amendment in the Senate. Did you know this, Morton?
Well,
News
hold on.
to you, I'm
I
guessing.
read it on actionforliberty.com today.
Okay, there you wow, I love that. Good pitch. Actionforliberty.com.
Oh,
So
and
Senate-
one quick legislative update before
Yep.
we get into this. So the Environment, Climate, and Energy Omnibus Bill just passed the Senate. So
Oh, let me dare to guess the vote. 34 to 32.
35-32.
Was the
Abler.
Republican.
Abler. It was Abler.
I mean, when is Abler just going to become a Democrat? Like,
No, I know.
Just a favor. He's a pro-life Democrat, the one last Democrat out there.
Mm-hmm.
My God, Abler, you're just he voted for Bobby Joe Champion as
Yeah.
the president.
Yeah, over
Same with
Justin
Jeremy
Eichhorn.
Miller.
Him and Miller.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the Minnesota. Well, why don't you bring up this thing here, William? You wrote it. What happened in the Senate yesterday?
Yeah, well, Jake and I were kind of talking about this. I wanted the title to be about the ERA, but Jake's like, well, no, there's so much more to this than the Equal Rights Amendment. Scroll down there.
Love how
Allison.
you talk about our little inner office debates there. But okay.
Well, no, because I think it's important. So look at the language there. So this is basically a ballot initiative. So if this passes in the House and Governor Walz signs it, it'll be put on the ballot in 2024. And this would be an amendment to the Minnesota Constitution. Now, look at the language there.
Language is in paragraph 4, so it
Right,
says
so
we're the
it's-
one that says this legislation if passed would ask voters.
Mm-hmm.
There you
So
go.
it basically prohibits discrimination based on all those things. I bolded the ones that are interesting: sexual orientation, gender identity, or expression. So this essentially enshrines the constitutional right, and putting it in quotes, to compete against women as a biological man. It protects your constitutional right to talk about gender ideology in the classroom. It does all these ridiculous things, and you know how hard it is to repeal a constitutional amendment. It doesn't matter if we get Republicans in there in 2 to 4 years.
Well, the way I look at this is you can't now, any time a municipality or organization wants to prohibit a man from competing in women's sports, because just because you're transgender does not make you now a woman, right? That's not how it works. They are prohibited from the Constitution because that would be here discrimination on, or it actually says the equality rights. So that mean you can't be denied or abridged a right based on your sexual orientation and gender identity. So this will clearly allow, right? Am I reading this right, guys? This will clearly allow men to compete in women's sports.
Yep.
Right, and this was talked about on the Senate floor. Farnsworth had asked Kunesh, Mary Kunesh is the one who's in the picture on that article. He had asked her, does this, he asked first about Title IX, and then he asked, do transgender athletes, boys that identify as girls, do they get to compete against girls in sports? And Kunesh basically said yes. Kunesh said, yes, trans athletes are allowed to continue to play in the sport of the gender of their choosing.
Right.
So, what I call this is the Trojan horse of wokeness. People need to understand that, the Equal Rights Amendment, you look at, oh, that sounds great. I'm for equal rights. But then you do some digging into it, and then you realize, I don't necessarily want the government to be enforcing this. I think people should be able to live their lives the way they want to, and we can't be allowing these, transgender athletes to, destroy women's sports. It's an insult to women. It's an insult to Title IX. And, it just goes to show how crazy these Democrats are. They don't even consider the ramifications of what they're doing.
Right.
Well,
So-
if it happens, it's never going to get undone.
Right.
They
That's
always
the
are
danger
careful with
here.
their language, so
Yeah.
it sounds pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
So most people are going to say, yeah, of course.
Right.
But then if it goes through, they made it so broad. If you put that inverse language together and put it on a ballot, people are going to say they would never vote for it because it would sound like, should we promote discrimination?
Right.
So the only way to unwind it would be, little selections like, should men compete in women's sports? I mean, you'd have to chip away at something like this to make it go away.
Right. I know we're going to have to, the messaging on this for the Republicans and anyone that's trying to go against the conservatives and everything, it's going to be tough because, equal rights, it's just a tough thing to argue against, but people need to realize what the truth of it is because, we can't have this kind of nonsense in there because all they're going to do is use it to abuse us.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, we're for equal rights, but obviously when it comes
Yeah.
to us, like some kind of subcategory of rights for someone that's got a new expression of their gender, and then you're really infringing on the rights of a woman to compete against
Right.
women.
Well, like businesses, they should be allowed to discriminate. Like,
Correct,
if they don't
yes.
want to bake the gay cake or, anything else like that. And also, under free market, under capitalism, that means that, if you're discriminated against, don't go there. Don't give that person your money. You're not obligated to give anybody your money. In a free market system, there's competition. You can choose where you want to go. And, that's the only answer. Freedom is the only answer to this thing. And it's not going to be government forcing people to do things. If you have your business, run it the way that you want to.
Yeah, and to say that you have to be inclusive.
Yeah.
Because you've got this one person
Right.
and that their feelings are so important. But if they're on a 30-person women's team, what about
Yeah.
the other 29? What about their feelings?
Right. Yeah.
You know
Government's forcing political ideology. Like, we're no longer allowed to think what we think.
Yeah, I mean, you make a great point. Like, I'm not against an organization privately wanting to have men compete in their women's sports. It's up to them.
Yeah.
I would be against it on a free market basis, but we can't have government dictating this stuff, and that's what this thing's going to do. So let's go back to that article. Now you're probably wondering, well, geez, Jake and gang, why did you tell me about this? Why am I just learning about it now? Click on SF37. That's what it is, Senate File 37. So it's actually early on. They're in the 3000s or whatever in terms of bills. And scroll down. Look, tab keys on it there, Mort. They can't forget about tab key. Here is the bill. You could see there in the Senate, it received its second reading on March 9th there?
Yep.
So March 9th, it didn't get called up to the Senate floor until yesterday. We had no idea this thing was moving. This is what the Democrats are doing. They are pulling stuff like this on us, a fast one on Minnesotans. No one knew this was an issue. No one knew this was coming up the floor. They bring it up the floor and they give it a vote. Now here's the interesting thing. Let's go back to the article, back up one page. And you would think, okay, it's the Democrats once again in full control of the government doing it. Nope. Look at the number that passed it, 43 to 23. Well, if you do the math, there's only 34 Democrats in the Minnesota Senate. So that means they had Republicans supporting it. And that's Julia Coleman, who we've talked about on a woke bill before. Julia Coleman also was not voting on that transgender bill until we called her out in this program, and then finally came in and voted against it. Drahim, who was absent during that whole vote. Duckworth, Housley, who's basically a Democrat, Jasinski, and Jim Miller. And Jeremy Miller. Jim Miller's a MMA fighter. Jeremy Miller, who was the Senate lead. He was the Senate majority leader for the Republicans. I mean, when we talk about the rhino problem in Minnesota and St. Paul, like, that's how bad it is. This was the guy leading the Senate caucus, the Republican caucus, at the end of 2022. It was Jeremy Miller, and he's voting for this garbage. And, of course, Abler was not able to vote somehow. He was voting on everything else, but he was not able to vote on that last one. So this thing passed with rhino support. Why on earth are you guys supporting this bill? You're allowing now Minnesota law to dictate that women have to compete with men. The Leah Thomases of the world will now be competing against women, and it's going to be protected in the Constitution.
Right.
So there you go. Does that surprise you, Mort?
About these people voting that way? No. But I tell you what, that women's college basketball player down in Iowa, I would love to watch her play in the NBA. Like, if that happened.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Oh, man, she blew it up in the March Madness for women's college basketball. Like, you... No?
No. What?
Oh.
No, I don't think I know about it either.
Oh, she
I
was
haven't heard
scoring like
about this.
40 points a game. I mean, she was like Steph Curry out there. And if she actually got drafted in the NBA, I would watch those games.
Well,
I would.
I mean, he keeps
How-
not doing this
How
smart,
tall is
but
she? Is
I'm
she
dead
is she
serious.
real tall? Is
What's
she,
her
She's
name?
probably 5'8", 5'9". I don't remember her name.
She's 5'8", 5'9".
I don't know. I don't know how tall she is, but
She's not going to be Spud Webb. I mean, like, what are you talking?
it would be so interesting to watch that happen. Watch a woman play in the NBA.
She wouldn't get a shot off. She'd be blocked all the time.
You'd watch her play.
What's her name? You don't even know her name.
Caitlin Clark?
Caitlin Clark. Why don't you YouTube Caitlin Clark?
Let's
I
see
know
her
basketball very
stats.
well. Let's look up Caitlin Clark.
Yeah, sure.
You know, there's that Babylon Bee that's got LeBron James dressed up as a girl, and it says that this new NBA star scored 120 points.
Trump always says, when I went to a Trump rally a while back, and Trump said, I would be the greatest women's basketball coach ever.
no way.
The first thing I would do, I'd bring on LeBron James. Said I'd bring LeBron James onto the team, and I don't like him, but we're gonna win.
A lot of people say
lot of people tell me.
I'd be a good coach.
Yeah.
A lot of people. I don't say a lot of people.
Yep.
So Based Minnesota had a really good comment that a lot of people like. He said that trans people should
Wait,
start.
I thought Based Minnesota was a woman. We really need your gender pronouns here because we're going to misgender
before
you
you
all the time.
comment,
I'm so sorry.
We need to know your pronouns.
We don't. If you're just going to make up these names, we don't know.
Honestly,
we're going to misgender a lot of people.
To speed up the process, go ahead and put your pronouns in your bio.
No. Well, we can't require that. We can't require that.
Anyway, we'll say they, them, so we don't accidentally offend.
Why don't we do a she, her, hair, there.
No.
Trans people should start their own league where they only compete against each other. See, that would be worth watching.
That'd be
That would be
interesting.
interesting.
That'd be like the Special Olympics. That'd be fun. Yeah. I'd be
like the
interested in that.
WWE. What are you talking
Yeah.
about?
Well, now
It would
the
be
another
flamboyance.
strike on YouTube.
Right.
Oh, yeah, we're still
But just another quick legislative update. The Senate is out of session, so now the only thing going on is the House. The Senate's going to be back. It looks like they might be doing the labor bill first tomorrow at 10 a.m. So
they adjourn
right
at
now
10
it's just
a.m.
the House debating this marijuana bill right
There's
now.
your buddy Jim Nash talking about how terrible marijuana is.
Yep.
He uses it though. All right, let's see here. What do we got here? We got.
Yeah, and I'm not saying she could play in the NBA. I'm just
You
saying
pretty
You're
much
saying you
were.
want to see
You
it.
said
it'd
it.
be super interesting.
Caitlin
Yeah.
Clark is that Caitlin? Is that?
She made that shot, by the way.
No way.
Just kidding.
Is this some big joke? Like, is she really bad at basketball?
Nope.
Okay. Is she the one dribbling?
Yep.
She's a good dribbler.
Do y'all want audio? I'm
Oh, that's a
gonna
good
give you
shot.
audio.
3. Yeah.
Long shot. Nice rebound. She does move a lot better than most women on the court, no doubt about it. Okay.
Thoroughly
She's very good.
confusing
Yeah, she's
anybody
very
who's
good.
Yeah.
I mean, she's not gonna.
Right.
I mean, she'd get crushed by high school basketball boys. That's a quick shot there. She is very skilled. Okay, I did not know about her, but why would I? I'm not very interested in watching women's basketball. I don't mind women's fighting though in mixed martial arts. One of my favorite fighters is a woman, so Valentina Shevchenko. But honestly, women's basketball is just not as entertaining.
Does she have Russian ties?
She's from where is she from? Kyrgyzstan or whatever it is, I think.
Kazakhstan?
No, not Kazakhstan. Not the largest exporter of potassium. Oh man.
What was that famous tennis match? Between a man and a woman. You know what I'm talking about, right?
No,
It was
I do not know what you're
The
talking
one that
about.
was completely one-sided.
Yeah,
the one you're talking
I
about?
think she scored a couple of points. She was like the best in the world at the time. I think her name was Bobby or something. This is like a
Is
famous.
this an actual she or is it?
Yeah, no, this is an actual story. Yeah.
No, an actual woman,
yeah.
though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, it was like like the 70th best man in the world. Because this woman who was the best in the world for women said that she could beat anyone, and then a guy who was like 70th best in the world said, "Okay, well, I'll take you on." And I think he ended up just crushing her.
Yeah,
So
I mean, of
Comments
People
course.
are saying that's Billie Jean King.
yeah,
Does
Billie
that
Jean
sound-
King.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah.
talking about.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to try to. I'm not like trying to put down women. It's just we're different.
No, it's-
when
yeah.
you get to elite levels. I mean, she'd whip my butt in tennis, no doubt.
Oh
about
yeah,
it, but
yeah, same
I
here.
don't play a lot of tennis,
Right.
so
My son crushes me in pickleball.
Really?
Yep.
So what's the deal with pickleball? Like I'm hearing so much about it right now.
It's really good for old
I got
people.
into it like a month ago. I mean, I thought it was so stupid the first time I played him. Like, these rules are so dumb. You can't go in the kitchen. You can't go in the kitchen. But after like a couple of times, it's like, all right, this is kind of fun, especially for if you can play fast paced, and then it's fun to smack the ball really hard at people.
Yeah.
yes. But this is why it's so popular because older people can play with younger people because just smacking the ball is not the only
Crazy how
strategy.
Some of these older people are
Yes.
awesome at it.
My
Yeah.
mom introduced me to it, and I'd be like, okay, I could crush my mom at tennis. I could crush my mom at tennis. Can't crush her at pickleball because the game's not always advantageous to smack the ball.
Yeah.
Oh.
So there's an equalizer.
Eric, excuse me if this is rude for asking, but how old are you?
Who you
Mort?
asking?
Are you asking Mort?
Yeah. Sorry.
What, 44?
I call you Eric. Is that okay?
Why not? We just call him Mort.
It's
but-
Mr.
I-
Mortensen to you.
Yeah.
Do you know Dawson said, Deep State Dawson said, yeah, it's so weird because he met you when you were still a legislator.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem like a legislator. I'm like, oh, yeah, we know. That's why we like the guy. Doesn't seem like one.
Am
It's
I
like, I
too
don't know
old
what to
for
call
pickleball?
him.
Is that? Or
No. I'm curious.
40,
because,
he's 44.
Okay, because my parents are also like right now getting really into pickleball, and they are like the same age. So I was just curious.
Yeah.
I'm
age of
wondering
your
what I'm
parents?
supposed to look forward to when I turn 44.
Dawson and I've talked about how
Yeah.
his mom and I, we grew up like the same era. So. When they don't understand references, I'm like, your mom would understand it. And then they teach me terms like based and rizzing and all those
Slay.
things.
Yeah.
What's that?
Slay.
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 What's that?
That's a girl's one.
That's a
What's
girls
that?
one?
Yeah, the
Well, he's
guys
got
don't
a
say it.
teenage daughter. So.
I just heard my
Yeah.
daughter say it.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's slay mean?
It's like slay queen. It's
You're like, good job,
when
like,
it- yeah.
awesome.
So
right.
slay just means good or awesome.
Yeah.
But why would you
Basically.
say it with queen? Like you're
Because
awesome?
Go
because
slay,
it's like
queen,
a
you know, like.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's like a female empowerment feminist type thing.
That's
I wouldn't
traditionally
take it
what
that
it's
far.
used, yeah.
Well,
Well,
you
gee, I
know,
wonder why I don't know this thing.
well,
It's-
I
those
don't
are
know
the-
because I drink bourbon.
yeah, maybe.
Slaying is very commonly a term used in like drag shows, isn't it? Isn't that like
What?
slay queen is
Oh,
specifically talking
teach us
about?
more there, Dawson.
I know that I went to the U of M Twin Cities. I know my way around a drag show.
Up your way around.
I've been indoctrinated.
Just
So
so I can
Jim-
know both sides, but it's very commonly used there. When it comes to like my side of stuff, like gaming, whatever, you never hear it. It's not really used there at all.
I didn't know that was used. I mean, I don't use the term myself, but that's alarming if it's a drag show thing.
Yes.
Jim on YouTube asks, when are Will, Dawson, and Jesse going to get married and start having kids? We're losing demographically by the year.
I, for whatever reason,
Are you
heard
talking
that
about
question.
us getting married?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
I was
we're gonna have a throuple.
He's asking, when are you individually getting married?
Yeah, it's
I don't know why we all heard it that way.
Three-person couple.
I didn't even think about it like that. That's funny.
That's the
Go
way we
ahead
all.
and-
Maybe it's the way you said it. That's the way we
Right.
heard it.
I might go ahead and block that comment.
Yeah.
Well, I could answer this question, and I would have fun answering this question, but I don't want to answer this question. I'll let you guys each speak for yourself. So, William, you first.
Yeah, I haven't thought about settling down yet. No, I'm getting married in like a month, so.
Holy crap! I just realized. Yeah, it isn't like a month away,
Yeah,
isn't
pretty
it?
much.
Well,
Oh, over a month.
yeah, it's closer to 2 months, but it's
Month
still
and a
coming
half.
up.
Yeah,
it's coming up.
yeah.
Wow. I always keep thinking that's so far out in the future, but yeah, we're in May. Dawson, Deep State Dawson, do you want to reveal your life, or you want to keep that in the dark?
I mean, I personally don't want to get married or anything until I'm able to have kids, and I need a house to have kids. I'm not raising any kids in a crappy apartment in Northeast Minneapolis, so whenever the housing market comes back, then
Oh, it's
then we'll
not.
see.
You got to buy now. It's only going to get worse.
I love that. When the housing market comes back, well, looks like you'll be in that apartment for a while.
Yeah, I'm prepared for it.
Jesse, we're putting you on the spot. You can always say no answer.
You know, I'll tell you what. Right now, the last thing I need is a woman dragging me down for my creative freedom and energy.
Ooh.
I'll tell you what.
I thought he was going to turn the game on, but he went the other way.
I'm going the other way. No, I'm perfectly happy with where I'm at. I don't think I got the maturity, or I'd get annoyed. I'd end up cutting it off right away.
Your kids?
I don't have the long term in me right now. I'm too young. I'll deal with that
Wrong.
years down the line. No way.
Wrong.
I'm
Fake news.
25,
This is fake
24.
Getting
You know.
married is the best thing maybe ever.
Say
Having
what?
kids, getting married.
Well,
Yeah,
wouldn't
down
know
the
your
line.
fake news.
I'm not doing it now, man.
To a gorgeous
I'm
woman
still
like
living
Melania,
life.
Yeah.
Was Melania not like the best looking first lady ever? I mean, she's a gorgeous woman, and just from what you could see in public,
Yeah.
a wonderful person.
Yeah.
Donald Trump got lucky.
All you got to do is have a lot of money,
That
Jay.
dude's got to have money and power, because that guy ain't getting Melania otherwise.
Is it considered settling if you're like settling for one of the richest people ever?
No, because women like status. So, of course, there's a reason you'd be attracted to Donald Trump
I wouldn't know.
for the status. I don't
know if you guys could hear that, but I made a funny joke.
Oh, I missed it.
That
That means
sucks.
don't say it
You'll have to
again.
watch the episode.
Hold
after.
on, let me rewind here. We can
Let's rewind it.
watch it live.
Yeah, Jesse, you can't make a comment like that because your key demographic is like women over 40. Like that's who loves you the most.
I ain't marrying any of them. so
Oh.
There they
Well,
go.
never say never.
we can say never to other things, but marriage, that's a firm no.
We do have a few comments on this conversation. God Save Our Republic says, Will does not look old enough to get married. Usually people tell me it's the other way around. Like, people tell me I look like I'm 30 or 40.
Well, you
It's
act like
weird.
you're 30 or 40. You don't
Oh,
look
okay.
like it, but you do look like a blonde Matt Walsh. Or Matt Walsh. Matt Walsh. I can't say Walsh.
Tucker91 says, in this day and age, get a prenup. Bad Hat Harry says,
That's right.
Is Tucker married?
Tucker, are you married? Bad Hat Harry says, don't wait, life goes too quickly. Cindy Lou 55445 says, where's Bridget? Am I not doing a good enough job? That hurts.
No, I think she wants that in the conversation. I believe Bridget's single and ready to mingle, but I don't want to speak for her. She was actually attending Catholic Mass tonight. What a good girl. So, there you go, a catch for you young men out there watching the show. I probably shouldn't say that because I should have checked with Bridget. That's okay to say that, but
She's going to get a bunch of fan mail now.
she'll probably get fan mail. There you go. We love Bridget around here.
Tucker's not married.
Well,
He says feminism ruined marriage.
there you go. The prenup conversation kind of gave it away, Tucker.
No, I agree with Tucker. In this day
well,
and age,
yeah, I know. I
in this day
understand
and
what you're
age,
saying.
if you want to be
It is hard to
successful in this
find-
world, you do a prenup.
It's
You
hard
know?
to find a quality woman, too.
Yeah, I mean that's preferable. That's That's what
I
you,
think a lot
that's
of-
that would be the ultimate. Yeah, but you know,
I think a lot of women are like it's hard to find a quality man because they all are like very feminine these days.
Mhm.
Skinny pants.
that's a
and drinking
combination.
White
Hard to find
Claw
good
and
women,
stuff
hard to
like
find
that.
good men.
I think it has to do a lot with dating apps too. I went through a very small stint on dating apps just recently, and it's kind of crazy how it's like people want on-demand dates, and when they don't get like the great first impression, whatever, then it's just like nothing. I don't know. It's weird.
Mm-hmm.
It felt very weird being on Tinder again for like the first time in years. It was funky.
We need to tell your girlfriend to start tuning in to these conversations.
To this show? To
Yeah.
this conference? No.
Yeah.
Let's keep it that way.
I mean, if Dawson didn't work here, he wouldn't even tune in, right? He's not political. She's
Yeah,
Definitely
true.
not.
True.
You guys would have super bad production quality if I wasn't here.
Fair,
so.
fair.
Mhm. This is
That's
true.
true.
This is true.
Yeah, no entertainment, right? We bring the entertainment value, I think, but
Mm.
Tucker is telling me that by waiting to get a house, I'm just digging a hole, like digging my grave more.
When did he say that?
Did you seriously miss it? Am I doing your job too, William?
Yeah, well,
that's why they want
I
Bridget.
disagree with that. Yeah, I'm not going
don't-
in debt to
maybe the
buy a
comments
house
are
right now.
updated?
No way.
Oh, I'm looking to buy a house right now because again, it's not getting any better. Like
Maybe,
now's
yeah.
like the time
Hey,
to.
For me right now, yeah, I get what you're saying, but yeah,
did
for
we
me right
bring
now,
up on the show yet that in the House, or I'm sorry, in the House and Senate, they passed free education, free college? Did you know that, Mort?
In the Minnesota State House?
Yeah.
No?
Yes. You got to go to Action for Liberty. You
For
probably gotta go
under
back.
80K, right?
Yeah, if you have adjusted gross income of 80K or below, your children go to college for free in Minnesota now.
I'm
Like
trying
the
to.
governor signed this into law.
Do I not have this right?
No, this is right.
I thought it
crazy.
passed. It definitely passed one of the houses.
No, and
Yeah,
Walls
no,
is going
it
to sign
did,
it too. I think
Well, this was a while ago, so it must have passed.
it was in one of the omnibus bills
Correct.
after conference committee.
Let me look this up because we wrote about it. Actionforliberty.com. You guys can follow.
I
Oh,
misread
see,
Tucker's comments.
Dawson, you misread his
Yeah,
comment.
yeah, I
That's why
see
we
that
leave it
now.
to the professionals.
Yeah, okay. All right.
By the way, we haven't had a Rumble Rant, so there's still whiskey left here to be drank. If you want us to do a shot, Rumble Rant, $10 or more.
Yeah, I got a note somewhere in my notebook here, but I'm not finding it. But I think it was somewhere between 70 and 80,000 students that they say they're going to pay the colleges for from that bill.
Here we go. It's an article on May 9th. Taxpayers will fund free tuition for thousands of students. Dawson, I'm going to throw it in the show notes. I'm going to put in cell D6. Okay, you can pull it up there. This is, it's an article. It's got, look how quick he is. Jeez, that was good. So May 9th. This is crazy how fast the pace is going. Under a new conference committee agreement to the Higher Education Omnibus Bill, originally HF 2073, students whose families make under $80,000 a year will get free college tuition. All this, of course, is paid by Minnesota taxpayers. The program will begin in 2025 and initially cost $117 million. After that, the state will allocate $49.5 million a year to fund the program. And this was spearheaded by Gene Pawlowski, the supposed moderate left in the Minnesota House. Free education, total socialist idea. And by the way, they're bailing out failing schools. This was adopted and repassed in the Senate on May 10th. Why has it not been signed by the governor? So it passed in the Senate, and no, I'm sorry. I take that back. Interesting. They got something screwed up on the page here in the House. So the bill was repassed and amended by conference 69 to 62. Repassed 34 to 30. Everything I see right now, it hasn't been signed by the governor. I'm a little confused why this has not been sent to the governor. When I look at it, I have to do a deeper dive. So apparently it's not law yet, but I think at this point it's going to pass, right? From what I see, it's got support in the House and the Senate. So yeah, free college for all. No,
I can't believe I didn't hear that.
Well, that's the thing, and that's why we did the
huge
show.
deal.
It's because it's so crazy in the pace that things are going.
Mm-hmm.
Like who else is telling you about all this stuff, right? We do a show twice a week. We try to give you as much details as possible, and just in the last 24 hours, hell, even during the show, we're learning stuff, right?
Gentlemen, Prost.
Who did it?
Bad Hat Harry, once again, another $10 rant.
Thank you, Bad Hat Harry. That's I'm gonna polish this off. I guess I'll have to do a re-pour if someone does another one.
We also have a few comments to catch up on.
Sure.
God Save Our Republic says, Will, House District 41B needs a new representative. I won't comment on that.
Well, that's Shane Udella.
That is Shane Udella.
Did that press conference. It's Republican. Did a press conference with Seeberger.
And
It's
he did
nutty.
one previously with Seeberger and Walls,
Nutty. Why would you do that?
It's
crap?
almost like he was playing cover for Seeberger. Huh? Who would have seen that coming?
Who did?
It's
Shane
Shane Udella.
Udella.
He's a freshman Republican from Hastings.
Yeah. And for the people that saw the video of me calling out Judy Seeberger, who was there standing up stage with her, Shane Udella playing cover for her. That's how I see it.
As a Republican, step aside. Let the Democrats who are in full control of this government. They don't want you even in the conference committees. Why would you do a press conference or any kind of town hall with these people?
Yeah.
Let them own up all this damage that they're doing to the state. But no, he did it. So, yeah, fair point.
So Tucker91 says, Biden already raised gas by $2. Gloria's Playhouse says, Jake, you are a fine American.
Well, thank you. You are too, Gloria.
And then we have a question from Cindy Lou, 55445.
Let me guess. It's about the dating status of Jesse.
Sadly, no. Jesse will
shoot.
have to wait for that one.
No.
She asks, what do our Dems want to raise the gas tax to? What's the current MN tax and what's the current Fed tax?
We don't have. Okay, so good question. 28.5 cents is the state tax. I want to say it's like 13 cents with the feds. Do you know that one? You probably know that one
Oh,
more.
I thought it was like 17.
Federal gas tax,
Oh, boy.
5 cents. Oh, no, that's aviation. Federal gas tax is 18.4 cents. You were closer without going over. Good job. So 18.4 cents by the feds, and then Minnesota's 28.5 cents. So I can answer that part of your question. I don't know the first part of your question. They haven't gotten to specifics yet. They said tied to inflation. So they're, which basically, what does that mean? They're going to give a percentage then instead of a penny amount?
I'm assuming that when they had the bill in 2019, I think, they tied it to the consumer price index as the gauge for inflation. So I think, I don't know what they're doing this time around. I don't know if it's even anybody knows since
I don't
this
think
is
anyone
so
does,
fresh, but I'd imagine they'll have a baseline. And then whatever the CPI says, whether it's 2% or 8%, then that will be reflected in the new gas tax. But I don't know the frequency that they'll adjust it because they can adjust it every quarter, every year.
Good question.
All right, so I found the numbers that I had written down on this free college thing. So 67 students are going to be getting free college, and what they are appropriating for 2024 to 2025 is $1.58 billion and $1.485 billion for 2026 and 2027. So there goes $3 billion of our surplus money right there to be wasted on people to get sociology degrees.
Not surprised.
Jesse, will you hold up your notepad there real quick and zoom in on this, Dawson? This is
Here,
the madness of Jesse here. This is most people use
I'm almost out of
computers.
paper too. I got to get another notebook paper.
Most people use computers. This is what you guys help fund
Oh,
here.
yeah.
Your supporters of Action for Liberty. This guy does. He follows the legislature.
I don't trust these computers. I'm telling you. I don't trust the technology. I know what I write down on my piece of paper. It's always going to be there. It's never going to somehow get erased, Nothing's ever going to happen to it. And also just, for memory's sake, when you physically write something down, you remember things so much better
Well, that's
than
why you gotta
when
get
you
one
type
of these
it.
bad boys with the pen.
Yeah, but that doesn't feel the same. Tapping something, I can't write by just tapping like this. I gotta.
You need a remarkable. That's what I have. It feels
What's
like
that?
you're writing on. It's a tablet.
Oh,
but
okay.
It feels like you're writing on paper.
But
A
that
little
only
sketched
addresses
out by that.
problem. It doesn't address
That's
the
awesome.
technology problem.
Yeah, that's a big problem for me.
Hey, guys, real quick.
Yeah.
Frosty Girl gave $20 and said bottoms up.
Does that mean
Oh.
two? Is that
I
one
should
or
think
two?
so.
Gotta go back to some more.
For you,
gotta
maybe
give her
just
money's
one,
worth.
because you have the bourbon there.
I do have the bourbon. All right. Oh no, a little spill. That's the problem with this long neck here. Tushi's totally gonna take a still shot and use that as a meme. Grab that neck.
Yeah.
I just know it
And,
because I know that personality.
But is
Thank you. Who was that?
Illegal.
Frosty Girl.
Yeah.
Frosty Girl. Thank you, Frosty Girl.
Thank you. Gloria's Playhouse says there should be a segment of Jesse's book club / millennial
Oh,
slang
yeah.
terms. He would
What's going on?
he would slay at this.
Oh
Will you
no.
please write that down?
Yeah.
that you need to come up with that book list.
Would you
Book-
want Jesse as your modern slang?
Book
teacher?
club to slay. I'm on it.
Book club to slay. So Tucker91 says Biden buying oil at double the price of Trump to refill SPR.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Biden's shutting down all the, every single place that wants to drill. So, yeah, all he's doing is making us more and more dependent on Saudi Arabia. That's how it goes.
Yeah, ridiculous. But obviously, gas prices have gone up the most because we just printed money out thin air, and that chases the same relatively unchanged amount of goods and services, and that's what inflation is, right? So that's why you're not going to see $2 gasoline, and if you see $2 gasoline, that's like economic depression. That's what happened. There's basically demands falling through the floor, so we don't want to see it for that reason.
$3.19 the other day.
Wow.
Where'd you see that? It's like $3.54 on average.
I know, Le Sueur. Yep. Smoking
Hastings
deal.
used to have like the lowest price. Let's go to the Dawson. Go to actionforliberty.com. There's an article called "Walls and Democrats Open Gas Tax Increase." Nope, I'm sorry, not that one. But we should bring that up. Democrat senator, we have an insatiable appetite for raising taxes. Have you seen this, Mort? This is Senator.
Yeah, I did, but your link didn't work earlier today.
All right, this is Senator
last night,
Ann put
maybe.
me to rest, in her own words, in committee with Democrats, talking about the problem with Democrats. Go ahead.
Oh gosh, hold on.
$1.5 billion or $2 billion or $5 billion, or we seem to have an insatiable appetite for raising taxes.
There you go. Don't you love it when a Democrat is honest? A rare. Did you not hear it?
No, I'm like, when's
Go
the
ahead.
audio going to start?
Go ahead.
I looked down, I'm like, oh, shit.
All right. Cutting Mort off now. He thought he had headsets on. Go ahead, replay it for Mort because he didn't have his headset on.
I kept seeing the cursor moves. I'm like, it must not be me.
It's like his jaw felt like it had weight on it. This is Senator Ann put me to rest. She is talking about her fellow Democrats and how much they love taxes.
$1.5 billion or $2 billion or $5 billion, or we seem to have an insatiable appetite for raising taxes.
I mean, you just got to appreciate when they're honest finally. And I don't know how else you look at this session and go, oh my God, Democrats, they love taxing people. 75 cents for deliveries, gas tax increase, Social Security tax stays on the books, $2.2 billion to the job creators, the business class in Minnesota. What else are we forgetting? They won't give back our surplus. They're giving 5% of the surplus back. That's an insult. That's basically a tax increase. Because if you overtaxed us and you kept it, it means you overtaxed us. That's a tax increase right there. So there you go. Yeah, she's right. Insatiable appetite for increasing taxes. Let's go back and let's look at this article on Judy Seeberger, the moderate. She really takes issue with the Democrats being so extreme, even though she could vote against this. So this is Judy Seeberger. You put this in here, didn't we? Didn't we have the link to the video?
Yeah.
Oh, here.
Yeah,
Made a public statement. Click on the. Oh, there it is, right there. Here's Judy Seeberger saying she's against taxes. Now, mind you, assuming Jim Abler votes the right way, which is a big assumption, Judy Seeberger actually could kill this gas tax increase. Let's hear Judy Seeberger.
I take issue with the implication that I somehow support a gas tax. Nothing could be further from the truth. I don't support anything, any increase in a gas tax, and I want to go on record as saying that I don't support that at all.
All right, so now I would say the odds-on bet here is that she's going to vote what the Democrat bosses tell her to do, and you vote for that gas tax increase. So Judy Seeberger, not only are we going to expose you for your transgender votes, pedophile, gun control, that stuff, we are going to play that over and over again to everyone in your district, and we're going to let people know you lied to them if you vote for this gas tax increase. So there you go. Judy Seeberger, in own words, on the campaign trail against Tom DePel. In case you don't know this, Tom DePel wins the Republican primary. Sore loser, Tony Jurgens, lost to Tom DePel, and then endorses Judy Seeberger, and Judy Seeberger's a vote that gave Democrats complete control of government. That's the backstory there. Judy Seeberger pretended to be a moderate. She's no moderate. She's voted lock, step with the Democrat bosses.
Yeah.
They come down, they say, you will vote this way. Okay, whatever you say, I will do.
Yeah, I couldn't believe when she came out and tweeted back to Ken Martin, the head of the Minnesota DFL, when she said, well, there are some moderate Democrats still. And kind of complained that their agenda was so progressive. But it's like,
You've been voting for it.
She could stop
Yeah.
anything she wanted in the entire state capitol. But
It never did.
just, yep.
Voted everything.
I
Gun
know,
control,
it's-
pedophilia, everything.
You got to wonder, like, it's like these moderates don't know what their power is. You know, it's like there's got to be something going on at that Capitol building where, you know, they really just force these people over to do whatever you're
yeah.
told, you know, and you know they become friends with you, you know, and you don't want to hurt so and so, you know, that vote will be really tough for them in that district, or you know, we really need to get this through. If you do this, we'll get your oil refinery bill through. You know, it seems like such a corrupt system. Like, you know, it would take like 100 of you to straighten it out, you know.
Yeah, I tell you, if she would have voted against any of that stuff that she wanted to stop, supposedly wanted to stop, they would have ousted her so fast.
Yeah.
Like in the next election, she'd be so gone so quick. But they told her get in line, and
Yeah.
you know, told
It
her.
makes it look like she's gonna run again. Then, you know,
Oh,
otherwise,
she'll run again,
otherwise,
yeah.
why would she be voting in lockstep with them unless she's trying to get that Democratic money?
Yeah, and then she'll use that Tony Jurgens endorsement forever.
Oh, yeah,
and that's the problem
right.
with endorsements. When you endorse a politician, they will milk that thing for years.
Yeah.
So yeah.
You know, it's not lost on me that during the Easter break, Governor Walz goes and visits Hochschild, Kupek, Putnam in St. Cloud, and Judy Seberg, visits all their districts. So the party bosses went there back in April to make sure they're going to vote in lockstep with them in that final week. And that's why we brought you the show. We want to do it during prime time, you know, because we want to gather all the facts today. I wish we should be just live every day at this point, because they have to adjourn on Monday. In case you didn't know, they can't go beyond Monday constitutionally. They follow the Constitution very rarely, but that one they actually follow. So, yeah, they've been told, hey, just keep quiet, and then at the end of the session, we're going to drop all these bills, you're going to vote. You will vote the right way on those things. That's what's happening. And they're very powerful. You know, we do what we do. We lit drop, we do phone call campaigns, we do all this stuff, but in the end of the day, they were beholden to Democrat bosses. I don't know. Might have taken millions of dollars to overcome that.
Yeah.
And we just didn't have that.
Yeah.
Pisses me off, by the way. And I you think, Jesus, Minnesota worth saving at this point. I think so. I think there's a chance we could turn this thing around. But you know what's got to happen? You got to have some unifying thing on the Republican side or on the conservative side. The Republican establishment is so disgusting, and they reelected David Hand. You don't have any hope here. But I think if we had some kind of liberty agenda that we could all agree on, we all get on board with a liberty agenda. Here's what's going to get passed. If Republicans take back the House in 2024 and the Senate and the governorship in 2026, here's this liberty agenda, and we will do all these things. I'm on board. Let's do it. Let's get it done. But there's nothing that's unifying the base right now. Most Republicans in the legislature, they're just doing the bidding for a special interest. They put on the show. They don't care. They don't really care about these issues. So, but we do. You guys do. So we need some kind of unifying thing, like a liberty agenda that gives us a promise. They got a pledge. We will do this if we get elected. And then, yeah, I think we could turn the state around. And if we can't do that, I mean, my God, we're hopeless in this state. Because we've seen what the evil left is willing to do. And it's not just Minnesota. It's going to come every other state. Anywhere else they can win. They just took over a red northern state in Minnesota. I remember the trifecta from 10 years ago under Dayton. It was nothing like this. This is crazy what these guys are doing. It's sick and it's evil. It's transgender stuff. The pedophilia.
Well, you know what? I was doing some digging. The first reference I could find, the first like documents of what to do with transgender children in schools, it came from Dayton. There were transgender children stuff going on in Dayton's administration. I'd have to find the document again because when I discovered it, I said, this is unbelievable. I can't believe it. But Yeah, so apparently this transgender children thing, it's been underground for many years.
Yeah, and that's what they do, and that's why we're so outraged by this pedophilia. Is they just have this little opening, and then eventually 10 years down the road, it becomes a big deal. Where every Democrat, other than Pulowski, and I guess somehow Liz Lagarde couldn't find a way to vote that day, but every other Democrat's on board with it. Mm-hmm. That's what happens.
Right, and when Tim Walz was given the State of the State, I remember I was looking at Dayton, and Dayton was, standing up, going crazy, clapping, with the help of his wife to, make sure he can stand up. But yeah, he was loving the transgender stuff of the State of the Union, State of the State speech. So yeah, Dayton's an interesting one because I think he's a lot more radical left than people even knew.
Oh yeah, he was. But of course, Tim Walz is like, hold my beer, hold my White Claw, hold my Bud Light.
Right.
Well, let's finish out with some comments here.
Yeah. God Save Our Republic thought just a moderate, a lot of ha's. And
a lot of ha's. Yeah, that's exactly. A lot of ha's.
Right.
Laser Jim 56 says, never will happen. Minnesota GOP is broken.
It better happen. I mean, is there any faith or hope that something's going to happen unless we all can agree on some kind of agenda? Right? People always say, it's a circular firing squad. You guys, Republicans are always fighting against themselves. And by the way, that does happen on the left. If you don't believe me, look at our Rumble channel. You'll see the DFL convention that just blew out of hand in violence.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Did you guys not know about that? Did you not?
You know what's interesting about that is the violent ones. I think they were supporting a more moderate candidate.
Is that what was happening?
Yes, like they were, and
But who were the violent ones there?
Warsame. Warsame was the guy's name. So
were they the violent ones? Do we know that for sure?
Oh yeah, no, it definitely.
That's how
was.
it's spun in the media.
Yeah, no, but that's definitely what it was. And yeah, this Warsame, he was going around saying these democratic socialists, they're the ones who want to try to control the convention. They want to try and kick people out. He was saying the credentialing's unfair. So he was saying like the radical left. He was saying, I was like, this is incredible. And then I do some digging into him. There's all these interviews where he's speaking on like Somali TV and like he's speaking Somalian the entire time. There's a lot of nut stuff, but yeah, what I love about it, just for entertainment purposes, is he's the moderate. He's the moderate in this election.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, when you look at the final candidates for Minneapolis, Jacob Fry was the better choice. That's how crazy these people are.
Yeah.
Chicago didn't go the better choice. Do we have the video? Let's pull it up. Mort, you won't want to put your headset on this time?
Okay.
Here we go.
Oh, this one kind of popped off. I'm just realizing.
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand.
Minneapolis convention on Saturday, and of course, Ken Martin scrambling. Oh, this is not us. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
It's not. It's just the right that's violent. It's not us. Idiots.
Got a couple more comments
Sure.
here. Mary says, time for a divorce.
Well, actually, that's been a requested topic, and we need to do this topic on the show. What would it be like if we were to split Minnesota and we were?
I think we
segregated?
should.
We do. We definitely need to do that.
Yeah.
The problem I have with that, Mort, you're in Scott County, I'm in Washington County. We got to make sure that we just keep the good areas. Like we come down to like Stillwater, we keep that in there. You can grab your part of Shakopee. You can give
Yep.
the other
Yeah, all
part
the
of
maps I see of this new South Dakota, they always leave Scott County out. But
I know.
if they did it, I would gladly move to Carver County.
I
or
know. I guess
Seward
we'd have to
County.
move.
Yeah.
But I'd like to see my neighborhood annexed into it,
Yeah.
So, yeah, we need to do an episode on that. That's a great topic.
Yeah, we should. Let's see. Laser Jim 56 says, lots of good conservatives in Minnesota. I agree. Work together. Tucker 91 says, Congressman Finstad sent me a letter today asking for donations. Was saying Hakeem Jeffries thinks the road to the congressional majority is through Minnesota. Based Minnesota says, keep up the good work, guys. Your show is the only one that tackles the important issues in the state.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And I feel like we do. And then we couldn't do it without you guys. So thank you so much for tuning in. Honestly, if no one tuned in, we wouldn't do the show. So the fact that people tune in, and we need to keep growing. We do. We keep growing almost every week. So tell other people, spread the word. If they want the truth, come here. And sometimes that truth's painful. That's why I call it The Truth Hurts. But we expose corrupt politicians lying corporate media right here. We usually Tuesday and Thursdays at 1 o'clock. Unfortunately, we didn't do today at 1 o'clock because we want to do a primetime show for you. But I appreciate that comment.
And let's see here. Sorry, guys. I'm
Yeah,
not
we
going to
can't
get to
hit
all.
every
I'm not going to
comment,
get
I
to
know.
all your comments, but
All right, no more other rants because we're gonna shut down this show. I don't want to leave someone hanging. So that's the end of the Rumble rants.
Yep.
I probably have room for just one other drink because I still need to drive home tonight. All right, so we're good.
I think we're good.
We're good. Any last final comments, Mort?
Well, I guess some words of optimism. I mean, 'cause
Okay.
it's dismal out there, but with all the crazy, trans stuff and pronouns, and I think there's a silver lining there because the whole LGBTQIA++ divide, multiply.
Mm-hmm.
What is that? 2, 3, 4% of the population at most?
Mm-hmm.
But yet they're controlling the entire narrative across the entire country. So this notion that we need like 51% of Minnesotans to be conservative to go make a difference. No, we don't need that. We need a very loud minority of people like we see them doing on that other side.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good point. Yeah, yeah. It doesn't take a majority to prevail. It takes an irate, tireless minority keen on setting brush fires of freedoms in the minds of men. There you go. I feel like someone said that before.
Yeah, I think I've heard
No one did? Okay, that's my quote now. Just put it down there on Google. Wouldn't that be funny if ChatGPT quotes me with that? Someone's that shows I know the algorithm, right? Thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate it. We'll probably do some more primetime shows, but I don't know if we'll do another show next week. A lot of us will be out of office. We'll have a Political Junkies episode for sure. So keep tuning in. Please follow us on Rumble. If you don't, follow us on Twitter. We just hit 1,000 people finally. So we just started a Twitter at the beginning of the year. We're pretty excited about that. Hopefully they keep it somewhat free speech oriented. I'm not very excited about this new CEO, but
Yeah, me
it
neither.
is what it is. But we'll bring you the truth every week. Thank you very much for tuning in. We'll see you next time.